business, and professional worldwide. Today, Dr. Sanjay Tolani has changed the world of finance, ensuring peace of mind for individuals and businesses. With his dedication to excellence, Dr. Sanjay is a true visionary, aiming towards a brighter financial future for the world.
All right, wonderful. Hi guys, welcome to High Network Prospecting 2023. I think we had some technical difficulties a little bit earlier. You might have heard only part of the video, but it's all right. It is now 7:12. We can definitely begin. So again, this is High Network Prospecting 2023. It is also a good reminder that it is start of the Q2 for this year. So I hope everybody has been doing well. And of course, who else to tell you more about High Network Prospecting than of course our family leader and our mentor, Dr. Sanjay Tolani. Right, Dr. Sanjay Tolani has been in the business for a long time now, with 20 times MDRT, 2 times COT, and 16 times TOT, with over more than 500 MDRT worth of production last year in 2022. And of course, he serves the high net worth individuals. He'll also be joined later by a few speakers later today, but I'll let Dr. Sanjay do the introduction for them. So let's all give a warm welcome and let's invite Dr. Sanjay Tolani.
All right, technology does what it does best. Sometimes mess up. Guys, today is a very important session. It's my favorite market to work in. But before we start today's session, I did want to ask all of you this question. Which country are you from? Right. So I want to give you relevant content for your particular country. So if you don't mind, would you mind just typing out which country you're from so I know exactly who I'm talking to and where I'm talking to you from, right? So do put in your country. I'd love that. Now, for those of you who haven't downloaded the PDF notes, the link for downloading the notes for today are in the description of the live session. So do try and download the link, download the notes, because you'll be able to refer back to them today. All right. So we've got Malaysia, Singapore. Wow. All right. Thailand. Fantastic. I like Carmen. Thanks for putting in all the forwards. Singapore. Indonesia. All right. Trinidad and Tobago. Wow, that's awesome. And John's from UAE. Fantastic. Brunei. That's brilliant. Okay. No, Jessica, you don't need to print out the notes. It's just something for you to refer back to after the session. So even if you don't have the notes for the session, don't worry about it. It's basically me just giving you some reference material that you can refer back to, because I don't use a script. I don't have a planned session. I actually share with you exactly what I do every day. So guys, I do want to make this very clear. I'm not a trainer, right? I'm a practitioner just like most of you. And as a practitioner, one of the most important things is I share with you exactly what I do every day, how I get involved with these types of markets, what products do I focus on, what's the strategy, what's my presentation. And that's what I want to share with you today. And I didn't even give any heads up or any notes to the 3 fellow speakers that are coming on later in the event, because I wanted them to be real. I wanted them to share exactly what they do. There's no point in them having a practiced answer, because this is not a production. Okay, let's get one thing very clear. This is a sharing session. This is a session where I get to share with you what you should do every day, what I do every day, where are the gaps that we can work on building and improving ourselves on, and I want all of you all to kind of get an idea of where you should be in the next 6 months, because in the next 6 months, if you're not hitting your targets, nothing's going to change in the last 1 month. I don't want you all to become qualifiers to some of our benchmarks, like MDRT. I don't want you to become a qualifier by fluke. I don't want it to be a thing that just happened because one client purchased insurance from you. I want all of you all to have the right system in place to be able to attract the right type of clients for yourself. Every single one of us has what we call the ideal client that I like to work with. So today's session is about trying to identify what are the combinations, what are the different types of high net worth clients, what is the type of client you should work with, what should be your presentation, and what would be the difference between a new advisor trying to get a high net worth client versus an old advisor trying to get a high net worth client. So I do want to know all of you all a little better. How many of you have been in this business for less than 5 years? Can you just say I have? And for those of you who have been in the business longer than 5 years, I want you to say 5 plus. So that I get an idea of how many of you have been in the business shorter than 5 years and how many of you have been in the business longer than 5 years. All right, Bharat from Thane, nice too. All right. All right, so we've got some 5 plus, we've got some less than 5 years, 3.5 years, brilliant. Guys, we're gonna have a nice cup of tea and coffee together, all right? I want all of you all to start writing down notes, because I will give you a lot of notes. I will give you a lot of ideas that I've worked on. In the last 5 years, my business has grown roughly about 500%. That's almost 100% growth on an annual basis, if you go just by a simple calculation. But the fact is, what did I change to achieve that? And I want all of you all to build that system for yourself. I don't want you all to grow at the same rate as the GDP, 5%, 6%. No, I want you all to double your production every year. I want you all to be able to double your case sizes every year. And that can only happen if you've got the right system in place. Now, after being in this business for more than 22 years, there are a few strategies that I use year on year, and there are a few strategies that I change every year. So what are the few strategies that I do year on year is what I will share with you first. And towards the end of the session, I want to talk about what I change year on year, because there are some things that you never change. How many of you spend time to understand your business? How many of you spend time to calculate what is your opening ratio? What is your closing ratio? What is your activity ratio? How many of you understand your business? You see, if you work with any client in the world, you work with any business in the world, they actually monitor their business. They monitor what their sales look like. They monitor their financials. They monitor their HR practices. They monitor their training systems. They monitor their audits. What do you do for your business? Every single one of you is a sole proprietor or an entrepreneur. Now, as a sole proprietor or an entrepreneur, you need to know exactly what's right with your business and what's wrong with your business. The second most important thing, and we're going to talk about that later, is high net worth clients are in every country. So you will always have high net worth guys, families, high net worth businesses in every single country in the world. The question that you have to answer is, why should they work with you? And I want all of you all to remember this question. Why should these clients work with you? Because they do have choice. They have the choice of choosing their advisors, which could be in other countries as well. So you have to understand You're competing with other advisors who don't believe that insurance is even a part of the financial planning process. And that makes it a little bit more tricky than standard financial planning. So understanding where these clients are, understanding how you position yourself, understanding what should be your presentation is the most important thing that I want you to take away from today's presentation. So before we get there, I want you all to write down these numbers for yourself. Don't write it for me. You don't have to put them in the chat box, but these are numbers I want you to write down for yourself. Number one, how many cases have you closed so far? How many advisors know exactly the number of cases they have closed so far? So we've already finished quarter one, right? In quarter one, how many cases did you? The number one question. The second type of big case is how much is the maximum premium you've collected in one single case. Now, I'll give you a simple example. My largest case that I've done a single case of 125 million US dollars in sum insured. So that was my largest case in terms of sum assured. My largest single premium that I've collected on a single case is 900 million US dollars. I'm actually giving you my numbers so that you understand how to calculate and how to know which business you're focusing towards. My largest single premium case was 2.5 million US dollars in every month, right? So this was a monthly premium that I'd done, and that was my largest, biggest case in a regular premium category. So there are three categories. Premium, so two categories, premium and sum insured. In premium, I like to break it into two, single premium and regular premium. So what's your biggest case size that you've done so far? And I want you all to look at the last 5 years and put that as what's happened in the last 5 years for you. The third variable that you need to answer very carefully is what's your typical average case size? So what's your typical client look like? And the reason why this is important is when clients ask you, how much money should I be saving, right? They're basically trying to find out, what's your average case size? What's your average case size? So I want all of you all to be able to know what is your average case size. So I had a client the other in this structure or using this strategy, and I told them my typical clients would start at about $5-10 million, but my average client would be doing roughly between $50 to $100 million. You see, when you say that, you've positioned yourself correctly. You know what your average is, and I want that to change. So, guys, what's your average case size? Now, the fourth variable and the fourth question that I think is probably the most exciting is trying to identify your top 3 clients that you like to work with. Now, what I want you to write down when I say the top 3 profile of your clients, I want you to write down what profession do they come from, which industry they might be from, what's their approximate age group, right? So think about this. Who do you really like working with? Is it doctors, engineers, chartered accountants, lawyers? Who do you like working with? What are your top 3 client profiles? Now, if some of you don't mind sharing your client profiles, I'd love to know, because then I can give you relevant content for those types of clients, right? Who are your top 3 client profiles? It's okay, take some time. I want all of you all to think about this very carefully, because this will affect where you're going in the next 6, 9, 12 months, right? So it's okay. All right. So Jasmine says doctors, Koi says business owners, Sharon says businessman between the age of 50 and 60. Yiking says doctors, Vic Van says doctors, Abby says professionals. Abby, I want you to break it down. Professionals in which category? Because every profession is handled differently. Santiago says business owners, okay, doctors, nickel mining companies, directors of nickel mining companies, accountants, engineers, bankers, all right, CAs, doctors and IT professionals, doctors, business owners, lawyers, senior managers and corporates, age group, Arzu says age group 40 to 50, Priya says 30 to 50, mid-career professionals. I like Yushing says uncles and aunties, I like that. Okay, small entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, all right, there we go. So doctors come up with a new one. Venture capitalists, engineers, software business owners, okay. Trainers with strong connections, all right, white collar, busy with daily work, okay. A white collar that's not busy is not your client, you don't want them. IT professionals, okay, Vela professionals, okay. Business owners, traders, freelancers, IT professionals, interesting. How many of you have ever thought about working with the oil and gas sector? How many of you have thought about logistics? How many of you have thought about green energy or renewable energy business professionals? How many of you have thought about crypto billionaires, right? Family with kids, that's all right. And I want all of you all to see and hear, watch one thing. Almost everyone is trying to attract the same type of clients. So when you say business owners, I want you to break it down even further. Business owners in which industry? In which industry? All right, Hamida says crypto traders. That's the first one who said that. Doctors, business society. Ali says doctor, business owners, parents, okay? And says business owners, engineers, IT professionals. And I want you to see how many people have actually said business owners. Now, the reason why I'm asking this question, I want you to realize where's your highest competition. How come none of you all have written any sports personalities, right? I want to work with sports personalities like footballers, badminton players, tennis players, cricket players. None of you all have written, I would like to work with movie stars, celebrities. These guys all fall in the high net worth category. Hussain says parents that want to leave a legacy for their children. Hussain, very difficult question to answer. How do you know which parents want to leave a legacy for their children, and where do you find them? So instead of writing something like that, which is very generic, I want you to be very specific. Guys, if you know your numbers, you know your strategy, it has to be very specific. They cannot be general statements. They have to be very specific. All right, Jess says business owners who are into hardware. Kaka is saying celebrities. And that's what I was trying to tell you. You see, there are so many high net worth clients that financial advisors actually don't look for. How many financial advisors or how many financial planners have specialized in working with celebrities or sports personalities who get what we call endorsement income, right? So the endorsement income is actually probably higher than their sports income. Think about it. At last, someone has said, teachers, right? Educators, very, very important. Golfers, there we go. Dharampal is now talking about sports personalities who are golfers. Guys, all these industries, there are high net worth clients that you've probably not even considered. How many of you want to work with influencers? How many of you think that you can work with influencers? That becoming a specialist to be providing financial advice to influencers. Social influencers, TikTok influencers, Instagram influencers, Facebook influencers, YouTube influencers, gamers. How many of you want to work with gamers? So think about these, right? These are all the different types of clients available to you that you haven't probably even considered talking to. Now, I'm not trying to get all of y'all to work in all these markets. That's what I want all of y'all to understand. I'm just telling you what your options are. Don't ever think that your options are limited. Your options are actually very, very broad, and you don't have to isolate yourself to a particular type of client. Choose your top 3. Choose the ones that make you excited. Because when you wake up in the morning, if talking to your clients doesn't excite you, that's probably the wrong person you're working with. If you truly want to stay successful in this business and you truly want to grow in this business, you have to work with people you like. If you don't like them, why are you working with them? Guys, the promises you're giving to your clients are the same promises you're giving to your spouse. Till death do us part. Through sickness and health. Through rich and poor, I'll be with you. Those are the same promises you're giving to your family, to your spouses. Why would you want to be with someone you don't like? Think about it. Every morning you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I got this client to talk to. Oh my God, I've got this person to speak to. And you don't even find excitement in that. Why do you want to do it? Stop doing things that don't make you happy and start doing things that make you happy. The more happiness you bring into your daily activities, the more successful you will become. Because success is an automatic result of passion, right? You have to be passionate about the type of clients you work with because your clients can see in your eyes. Do you enjoy? Do you not enjoy it? Do you realize I love talking to all of you? I can spend hours and hours and hours talking to you for a very simple reason. I feel confident that every single financial advisor in the world can become one of the top advisors if they have the right system and strategy in place. So I need you to know your numbers. Number 1, how many cases have you done so far? Number 2, what's your biggest case size? Number 3, what's your average case size? And number 4, who are your top 3 client profiles that you have? Because if you don't know your clients, you're going to be wasting your time. When I started this business 23 years ago, I do want to tell you that I did not have big cases straight out in the business. In our business, you have to learn that you have to grow on a year-on-year basis. This is not a one-year job. This is not a project. This is a full-time, long career, right? So as soon as you understand that this is a career for a very, very long time, the way you work in this business will change. So let me ask all of you this question. How many of you feel your clients don't feel the urgency to buy insurance? How many of you have clients who you feel they don't feel the urgency to buy insurance? All right, Melvin says me. Raymond, all right. Guys, if your clients don't feel the urgency to buy insurance, I want to ask you this question. So what? If they don't buy this year, they buy next year, what happens? If they don't buy this year, if they buy next year, what happens? The premium goes up. The premium goes up. If the premium goes up, your commission goes up. If your commission goes up, why are you not happy? So Sharon, if they're more expensive premiums, it's their problem, right? Kenny, so what? Why are you in a hurry? The longer time they take, the more money you make. So why are you in a hurry? A lot of clients think that if they buy insurance today, there is a big advantage to you. When in reality, if they don't buy today, they buy after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, we earn more money. So why are you in a hurry? Katrina says, they might not even be able to purchase it. Well, again, it's their problem, right? I want you to think about this. It's their family, their future, their children. If they don't care, why do you care? You go to the doctor, and the doctor tells you take your medicine. And you tell the doctor, no. What does the doctor say? Okay. Next. They just move on to the next patient. And I want all of you all to realize this. Our job is not sales. Our job is to give good advice. If you give good advice, sales is a byproduct of good advice. And that's what I want you all to realize. That it has nothing to do with you. If you go to the doctor and the doctor says, take this medicine. And if you decline, the doctor will just say, all right, move on, next. The problem is, you're not meeting enough people. That's the problem. So today, I want you all to understand that our business is about small cases and big cases. The small cases make sure that you're never desperate, because you can't, if you look desperate, your high net worth clients can see that you're looking for business. If you're a good advisor, you'll be doing small cases on a regular basis, and your big cases is what make you rich. It's like a heartbeat. The small cases keep you alive, the big cases make you rich. The small cases keep you alive, the big cases make you rich. Keep that as a mantra. If you're only doing big cases and you don't get a big case for a long time, that's it, you're dead. So the small cases keep you alive, the big cases make you rich. And I want all of you all to realize that there is no top advisor in the world that only focuses on big cases. Every single top advisor in the world has a good mix of small and big cases. The small cases ensure that they don't become desperate. The big cases purely are because of their confidence, their level of presentation, their level of understanding in our business. So what's the definition of a small case and what's the definition of a big case? Today, let's define it. A small case is a case that you can close at least 2 to 3 in a week. That's a small case, right? A case, being able to do 2 to 3 cases in a week. A big case is maybe 1 case in a month, right? You probably get to meet 1 client like that, or 2 clients or 3 clients like that in a month. That's a big case. So you need to define what is a big case for you and what is a small case for you. When I started in this business 23 years ago, my small cases were cases where I was collecting even monthly premiums. By the way, guys, a lot of advisors ask me this question, Sanjay, how do I shift from monthly cases to annual cases? How do I shift from getting clients to pay for annual premium instead of monthly premiums? And let me get one thing very clear. It does not matter. It does not matter. If your clients are paying monthly premiums, so what? So what? It does not matter. Please understand something, guys. As long as your clients have protected their families, as long as they've made a commitment to their future, as long as they've taken the decision to protect their children, your job is done. Now, whether they pay annual premium or they pay monthly premium, it does not matter. The problem is you are thinking about commission. I want you all to stop thinking about commission and start thinking about your mission. Your mission in this business is to protect families. That's your mission. That's my mission. That's everyone's mission in our business, is protecting families, protecting futures, protecting children. If you continue to commit to that mission, your commissions will keep coming. Don't worry about how much you will earn from a client. Your job is to protect families. Get that very clear. And I cannot stress that enough. Because if you don't understand this business, if you don't understand what your purpose is, you will lose out to other advisors. The other thing I want you all to understand is, if your small cases are very small, right? So we have to put a definition of something called very small. Cases you will not do. How many of you reject certain types of insurance? How many of you reject certain types of insurance? So I'll give you an example. How many of you do all types of insurance? How many of you like to be the one-stop shop for everything? How many of you like to do... How many of you are the one-stop shop for everything? So Arzu says never. Raymond says me, okay? Mr. Locke says me. All right, so Raymond, do you also do livestock insurance? Do you also do crop insurance? Do you also do professional indemnity insurance? All right, so Mukim says I reject travel insurance. And I want all of you all to realize one thing, that if you are the one-stop shop for insurance, then you become what we call a supermarket. And when you are a supermarket of insurance, your clients treat you like a supermarket. They compare products, they compare service standards, they compare different available options. Think about it. So Mukim says I reject travel insurance. Every single one of us, I want you all to realize that there are certain products that will very soon disappear from the agency distribution model. All right? Let me give you what's happening in the next 5 years. There are certain products that in the next 5 years will disappear from the agency broker distribution channel. Products that don't need advice. Products that don't need an advisor to get involved. They will move online. It's what we call commodity, right? If a product becomes a commodity, we don't need advisors. Think about it. If those are your small cases, you're going to get into trouble. So you need to redefine your small case. Now, I know a lot of you sell medical cards. Medical cards is a great way to start in this business about growing your customer base. But as your customer base grows, your servicing requirements increase. And if you cannot match up to those servicing standards that your clients expect, you don't close big cases. Guys, I want you all to remember one thing. In this business, you have to put the right product in your mix. You physically cannot sell anything and everything. You physically cannot. And I'm going to openly say this to every single one of you. Don't try to sell every single product that is potentially available to you. Because then you should start selling shoes and clothes and handbags and cars, and you could be selling anything. Because every client needs everything. Think about it. Every client needs a house. They need a car. They need handbags. They need shoes. They need clothes. So why are you only selling insurance? You can do all of that. They go to the restaurant. You should start opening up a restaurant. They need to get their hair done. You should open up a salon. They need to get their, I don't know, wow. They need to send their kids to school. Go and open a school. Then the kids will go to university. Go and open a university. What all will you be providing to your clients? Where do you draw the line? The reason why I'm asking you this is because every single day, I have people who come to me and say, Sanjay, you're such a successful financial advisor. You have so many clients. You've got so many high net worth clients. Why don't you sell paintings to them? Why don't you sell high-end shoes and handbags to them? Why don't you sell real estate to them? Why don't you sell land to them? Why don't you recommend my fund to them? Why don't you recommend ABC to them? And it drives me nuts. And I'm like, what all should I be distributing? Guys, where do you draw the line? Think about it. You don't want to lose your credibility as a financial advisor. Please remember that. Your credibility as a financial advisor is what makes you special. If you lose that credibility, if you just become a broker of everything or an agent of everything, you become the advisor that no high net worth client wants. I want you all to think about that. I want you all to think about that. Abby, you're right. Starbucks sells everything except shoes. You get that correct. But the problem is, you are not Starbucks. Starbucks is a franchise. It's a big multinational company. We are individual sole proprietors. And I want all of you all to realize this. Every single one of you is an individual business owner. You are not an insurance company. You're not a reinsurance company that can keep manufacturing products, that can support clients in multiple countries. We are single business owners. And you need to build your distribution correctly for yourself. And that's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Your insurance company can have multiple products. Your insurance company could have 25, 30, 40, 50 products. It doesn't mean you are a specialist with all 50. And that's exactly the point I'm trying to make. An insurance company could have multiple products, but not all those products are eligible for your distribution. It's not your job to sell every single product that your company has. It's your job to learn to specialize. It's like when you go to a hospital. A hospital has doctors for everything, but every doctor is a specialist. They have a GP that does everything, but you know one thing for sure, the GP always earns lesser than the specialist. And I want today, every single one of you all to choose a specialization in our business. Now, there is no training, there is no university that talks about specializations in our profession. So today, I'm going to give you the specializations of our profession. Take a paper and pen, write these down. Risk management, that's one specialization. Corporate financial planning, second specialization. Third specialization is asset management. Fourth specialization is family office management. So we've got 4 specializations in our business. Number 1, risk management. Number 2, corporate financial planning. Number 3, asset management. And number 4 is family office management. These are the 4 specializations in our profession. And the reason why I've given these 4 specializations is so that every single one of you knows exactly where you should fit in. As you work with high net worth clients, they will expect you to be a specialist, not a generalist. Think about it. Your head, you've got a different doctor for the brain. You have a different doctor for the eyes. You have a different doctor for your nose. You have a different doctor for your teeth. You have a different doctor for your ears. There's a different doctor for every single part of your face. Why is there not different advisors and different specialists for different profiles of clients? Because our profession has not segregated us into specializations. So it's time that we take this on ourselves to choose what we are specialists in. Because a GP will always earn lesser than a specialist. And every single one of you knows this. Did you guys get the 4 specializations? Yes? No? Think about it. How many of you know what these specializations stand for? All right. Natasha says yes. Jenna says yes. All right. Can I break down for you? Would you like me to break down what each specialization stands for? There we go. So Arzu's asked exactly the question that I wanted to answer. Risk management is a specialization where you do something called risk mapping. So you would sit down with a family, you would sit down with a small or medium business, and you would do something called risk mapping. You will identify all the risks that could affect the family, that could affect the business. And then you would make a decision with the family or with the business owner, which risk they want to keep, which risk they want to avoid, and which risk do they want to transfer, right? Because there are some risks that they can manage themselves. They don't need to transfer. There are some risks that they can avoid by doing something called risk management. And there are some risks that they have to transfer, right? So you do something called a risk map. And that's part of risk management. How many of you have ever created a risk map for your clients where you sit down with them and you talk about all the risks that could affect their family or their businesses? It's called the risk mapping strategy. So if you're a specialist in risk management, you need to learn how to do risk mapping. Now, if you're a specialist in corporate financial planning, right, then you're focusing on products like keyman insurance, asset protection, liability cancellation, buy-sell agreements, succession planning, retirement planning for key employees. You're doing board of director resolution strategies. So how do board of directors work in terms of their overall structure? You're doing presentations. You have to get in the habit of doing corporate presentations, talking to HR, talking to the CFO. You're talking about group pensions, group life, group medicals. You're talking about employee benefits in general. That all comes under corporate financial planning. It's quite an exciting industry or quite an exciting specialization, but there are very few people who are qualified to be in corporate financial planning as well. Number 3 was asset management. Asset management is where you talk about any asset that a family or a business has, right? And now we specify only working on assets. This is more focusing towards people who like to do investments. So you would work with what we call ILPs, investment-linked products. You would work with what we call fund managers. You specialize in understanding what are structured notes, how insurance is an alternative form of investment, how insurance fits, like whole life insurance, endowments, annuities, how these products fit into the investment spectrum of your clients. What are the different types of income strategies that clients can use? So whether they use rental income, whether they create something called a renovation fund for their business, for their properties, a maintenance fund, a rebuilding fund. You create what we call different types of fund allocations for these clients, right? So it's about asset management. And the 4th one, and I think this is probably the pinnacle of our profession, is what we call family office management. Now, a lot of people don't understand how important family office management is, but it's specifically where families have so much assets or so many businesses that they have to put a strategy in place which allows them to build or monitor wealth for multiple generations. It's one of my favorite topics to talk about because I love family office management, and high net worth clients, a lot of them have family offices, right? So they do end up having an investment advisory board. So they have something called a family council. Guys, write these words down. You've probably not heard them before. You've probably not encountered them before, but you should be ready. When you sit down with high net worth clients and they see these words for you, you should be able to understand what they're trying to say. So they have something called a family constitution. They have a family council. They have a family inheritance plan. They have a family succession plan. They even have a family counselor, which allows their children to choose what they should study, what's the career path they should take on. They also talk about inheritance planning, right? So they also talk about which child gets what. So it's not just about writing a will. It's not just about setting up a trust or a foundation. That's That's not even part of the conversation. That's an understood. It's a given. They probably even have a legal counsel board. They have different types of advisors. So I'll give you an example. I was working with this family office about 10 years ago. And when I was working with this family office, they had something called a security counsel. They actually had advisors that gave advice on security counsels, right? What are the kind of security procedures that the family needs to take into place? Because they had kidnap and ransom insurance requirement. They had credit insurance requirements because they gave a lot of credits in the market. They had directors and officers insurance because they had a lot of directors that ran the family businesses. They had officers like CEOs, CFOs who ran the family business. So they had to get something called DNO insurance, directors and officers. They had to buy a lot of key man insurance because every single key person would affect the continuity of the business. So they had to buy something called business continuation insurance. Now, can I do all these products? The answer is no. And this is what I want you all to understand. It's not about becoming a specialist with every single type of insurance product that is required in these specializations, but it's about understanding which products are required in these specialization, which of these products you should distribute, and which of these products you don't distribute. You should be very clear about that. It's not about trying to make money in every single transaction. It's about ensuring that your clients are always making money given your advice. And I cannot repeat this again, but I need you all to understand this. It's not about how much money you make. It's about how much value you give to your clients. If your value proposition is very high, you will automatically earn more money in the long term. And I want you all to remember this. Guys, if you do have questions, yes, Arzu, you can keep asking questions. But if you do have questions, do keep putting them down. If I can answer them in the middle of the session, I will. Like I said, I'm not a trainer. I don't get affected by comments, questions, thoughts, opinions. It doesn't affect me because for a very simple reason, I'm sharing with you exactly the kind of conversation that I have with my clients every single day. There are a few trends and opportunities that I do want to talk about, right? Number one, there is a big focus right now that high net worth clients are really worried about, and that's primarily on wealth preservation. Now, the reason why they're focusing on wealth preservation is because their wealth and their income is interrelated. Hear me very carefully. Their wealth, or what we call assets, so asset preservation, and their income is interrelated. If the assets lose value, their income goes down. What I have realized, and that's where we become top financial advisors, if your income is not affected by asset value, then the only thing I have to focus on is income preservation, not losing income. Asset values can go up and down. As long as my income is consistent, my lifestyle does not get affected. Hear me very carefully. If your asset value fluctuates, but your income is consistent, your lifestyle does not get affected. Only one variable affects your lifestyle, and that is your income. Think about it. I'm going to give you a case study. All right, I'm going to give you a case study. My client has an annual income of $1 million. All right, my client has an annual income of $1 million. His monthly income is $50,000 as salary. So his salary income per year is $600,000. At the end of the year, he on an average gets about $400,000 in bonuses. All right, so he gets $400,000 in bonuses. What affects his lifestyle? What affects his lifestyle? His salary or his bonuses? Think about it. His salary or his bonuses? His salary. You're right. You see, if he loses his salary, his lifestyle gets affected. If he loses his bonuses, it only affects his luxury purchasing behavior, right? Is what we call luxury purchasing behavior. Because every time you get an annual bonus, it usually goes towards buying a capital product, like a new car, down payment to a house, a watch, a diamond, jewelry. Your luxury purchasing behavior gets affected by bonuses, but your salary getting affected affects your lifestyle. So if your annual income is $1 million, your lifestyle is not based on $1 million of annual income. Your actual lifestyle is based on your monthly income of $50,000, which comes to only $600,000 per year. And I want you all to understand this. When we do retirement planning, we have made a mistake, guys. And I'm going to say this very openly. When we do retirement planning, we talk about giving clients annual income. Think about it. Do they need annual income or do they need monthly income? I want you all to think about this. Do they need annual income or do they need monthly income? If your expenses are monthly, your income has to be monthly. Your credit card bills will not wait till the end of the year. Your utility bills will not wait till the end of the year. Your grocery bills will not wait till the end of the year. And when we do retirement planning, when we do income protection planning, when we do income preservation planning, we're supposed to be giving them monthly preserved income, not annual income. Just this conversation makes you stand out from all the other advisors in the market. All the other advisors in the market are focusing on annual income. I'm one of the few advisors in the market that sits down with the client and I say, why would you plan for an annual income when actually you need a monthly income? Think about it. Every year, if I give you money, what are you going to do with that money? You'll end up saving it or keeping it aside for next month and next month and next month. And then as long as you keep seeing the money, you'll think about spending it. We've got it wrong. We've actually got financial planning wrong. And that's what I want all of you all to realize. That today when I sit down with a high net worth family, I sit down with a high net worth client, I just tell them a very simple thing. It's not just about wealth preservation, it's about income preservation. And that income preservation has to be done on a monthly basis, not annual basis. Well done, Priya. So Priya plans on a monthly basis for retirement. That's fantastic. But I want all of you all to realize this. A lot of people don't. The second trend and the second opportunity that's growing in the high net worth space is high net worth clients want to get personalized advice. They actually want you to give them advice that's suitable only for their family. Think about it. When you go to buy a Rolls Royce, you can choose the color, the leather, the design. You can choose so many things. You can personalize that car exactly the way you like it. Now the question is, what type of car are you selling? But more than the product, what type of advice are you giving? So I want you to remember one thing. Product is not important. Advice is. The quality of your advice will affect your choice of products. The quality of your advice will affect the choice of product that's available to you. And I want you all to remember this. as you start working with high net worth clients, you need to learn to give them personalized advice. What's important to them? What's important to their family? You need to help them recognize what they need to get done. It has to be personalized. All of us have the same products. Think about it. We only have 4 products in our business. We have, in case you die, we pay. In case you fall sick, we pay. In case you retire, we pay. In the event your kids go to college, we pay. Those are the only 4 products we have. We don't have a 5th product. Think about it. How do you personalize something that is as generic or as simple as these 4 products? This is where you come into the expertise field. What can you do with your product? What are the different ways that you can structure your products so that your clients have a special benefit? Every single client, okay, every single one of us, forget clients, we all have a mobile phone, right? Can we use all the features of the phone? None of us. How many features do you have in your car? Can you use all the features in your car? Probably none of us ever even know what the features are. I remember we were selling a car, and the day we were selling the car, we found out there was a new feature in the car. I mean, there was a feature, not new, there was a feature in the car that we didn't even know about. And I want you all to think about this. All our products have so many different features. We try and tell our clients about all the features. And our clients come back to us and say, but I don't need this, I don't need this, I don't need this. And that's a fact. I want you all to learn to focus on the features that matter. Focus on the features that matter. When you go to buy a car, for some people, the speed of the car is important. For some people, the safety of the car is important. For some people, the technology in the car is important. For some people, the durability of the car is more important. For some people, the resale value of the car is more important. Every client is different. You can't have the same pitch for every single client. And that's what I want all of you all to realize, that if you're not giving personalized advice, you're not giving the right advice. Now, there is a trend that I want to identify, but I don't agree with, right? Your client's network, I've heard a lot of advisors telling me this, that you grow your client network through referrals, right? But guys, I want to be very clear about this. Referrals are dead. If you truly want to grow your client network, you have to grow your client network through recommendations. The reason why I've written this in the PDF, I've actually written this down, expanding your client network through referrals. I've written that down because that's what you've been hearing. And I wanted to clarify that for you, that referrals are dead. What truly works is introductions and recommendations. Guys, referrals is a very 20th century strategy. You see, in the 20th century, we didn't have people's email addresses, telephone numbers. It was very difficult to get in touch with people. So if you found a way to get in touch with people, that was great, because now you were the only one with the telephone number. You were the only one with the email address. But guys, in the 21st century, we get hundreds of marketing calls every day. We get hundreds of emails every day. How do you stand out? How do you stand out? You can't. You can't stand out in a wave of marketing calls on a daily basis. Your emails will probably even go to spam. You could come up with the most beautiful and the most creative content. You'll probably get spammed and just deleted. Think about it. So, referrals are dead. I don't want people's telephone numbers. I don't want people's contact details. I don't want them. I don't want it. If I want anyone's contact details, it's probably already available on LinkedIn. It's probably already available on Facebook. It's not difficult to get in touch with people. The problem is, what do you say? What do you say? And if you want to introduce yourself, you lose credibility. Listen to these words very carefully. If you have to introduce yourself, you usually will lose credibility. The best way to get introduced to a high net worth client is by a third party, where somebody else introduces you. Think about it. Think about it. Introductions by a third party are always more powerful than an introduction by yourself. Do you realize when I do a session, Harris comes on and he gives you my introduction before my session? Think about it. I want all of you to realize this. It's a psychological thing, but it works. Imagine I come up into this platform and I start saying, hi guys, my name is Dr. Sanjay Tolani and I've done 500 MDRT last year. I've done top of the table on an average every week, sometimes twice in a week. How does it sound? It sounds as if I'm boasting. It sounds as if I'm arrogant. You can't introduce your good qualities by yourself. And if you're waiting for your actions to speak louder than your words, then you have to wait a very long time, because it takes a long time to build credibility with someone who doesn't know you and you cannot introduce yourself. I'm probably the only guy who's going to openly tell you this, but introductions always are the best way to move forward in the high net worth market. It's not the only way, it's the best way. There are other ways as well, but I'm giving you the best. I'm not telling you all the 10 different ways to get in touch with high net worth clients. I'm giving you the best ways, the best practices that would allow you to grow this business, right? And introductions by third parties, by existing clients, by other advisors like lawyers, engineers. So a lot of lawyers are my COIs, right? So we call them centers of influence. I have lawyers who are my centers of influence. I've got chartered accountants who are my centers of influence. I've got doctors who are my centers of influence. And they introduce me to their clients, their patients, their network of people. And I want you all to realize this, that if you truly want to expand your client network, you need to get recommended and introduced to these type of clients. The next trend that I really want you to focus on, and something that's going to change in the next 3 to 5 years again, is succession planning. There are a lot of business owners. Entrepreneurship became a huge trend about 20 years ago. Now, in the last 20 years, we have more entrepreneurs created than ever before in history. These are all what we call first generation business owners. Entrepreneurship at universities. It's become a subject of choice. It's become a subject of acceptance, right? If you go back 30, 40, 50 years, you would hear families telling their children, go and become a doctor, go and become a lawyer, go and become a chartered accountant, go and become an engineer, take on a good job, try to get a government job, try to get a stable job. That was the career path 30 to 40 years ago. Fast forward into the 21st century, fast forward just last 5 years, entrepreneurship has become the mantra that everyone's talking about. Think about it. Think about it. Entrepreneurship is the mantra that every single person is talking about. So in the last 20 years, we've seen a huge amount of new entrepreneurs, or what we call first generation entrepreneurs, who do not have an exit strategy. And I love sitting down with business owners and I ask them a simple question. What's your exit plan? And they say, what do you mean by exit plan? Well, after you're gone, what is your family supposed to do with this business? Sell it? Shut it down? Your kids want to take over? What's going to happen with this business? And they usually tell me, Sanjay, well, I don't know. And I'm like, that's all right. As long as you understand that someone needs to answer that question for you one day, that's a question you need to answer for yourself, not to me, not to your neighbor, but to yourself. What happens to this business after you're gone? Does it continue? If yes, how does it continue? Who continues it? Who's going to monitor it? Who's going to manage it? What's your exit strategy? Oh, Sanjay, after I'm gone, they'll sell it. To whom? Have you made your business sellable? Are there people today willing to buy your business? If not, if people are not willing to buy your business when you're alive, I can promise you there's nobody who's willing to buy your business after you're dead. If no one is willing to buy your business while you're alive, I can promise you, nobody's willing to buy your business when you're dead. That I can promise you. These words work very well with clients, by the way. It's not about being arrogant, it's about statistics. It's statistics, it's science. If your business doesn't have value while you are running it, then it has definitely no value when you're not running it. Simple logic. Right? The fifth trend, and this trend is becoming quite interesting, is what we call impact investing. A lot of millennials, a lot of the newer generation is interested in doing investments into social structures, into ethical structures, structures that have got a more long-term perspective for money, right? And the question is, how aligned are you with ethical investing strategies? How aligned are you with social investing strategies? Because we as a generation have been blessed with a lot of advantages. The question is, how well are you helping your clients do their investments? Is the business ethical? Is the business affecting society? Is the business affecting the environment? So impact investing has become a huge trend in the high net worth space as well. What kind of charities do you support? What kind of investment funds do you provide? I remember one thing that I was working with his family, and he told me this, and that completely changed how I did family office management. He was an elderly gentleman. He was about 78 years old. And he said this to me. He said, Sanjay, if there's one piece of advice I can give you, I want you to understand that you have become successful because of support from your society and people around you. Sanjay, you've become successful because of society and people around you. What have you done? What have you done to give back to these people? And I told him, I'm like, well, I do donations on a regular basis. I contribute to charity. And he said, Sanjay, you need to have a charitable system. You need to have a system that allows you to be contributing back, a system that you should be using to contribute back to everything that people have done for you. They expect it. You are who you are because of the people around you. What have you done to help them become better? Guys, openly, why do you give back to your profession so freely? And let me tell you why. Guys, this is my way of giving back to our profession. Every single advisor, if you become a top advisor in your respective countries, how does it affect me? It doesn't. If you become a top advisor, it doesn't affect me. But it's my way of giving back to our profession. This is not a business for me. Sharing, teaching, my books, my sessions, all this is me doing work for charity. All this money goes to charity. This is not my business. My business is giving good advice to my clients. My business is about giving good advice to anybody and everybody. That's my business. Helping you achieve the next level in our business or push yourself to the next level, that's me working for charity. I want every single financial advisor in the world to get the recognition that they deserve. We as a profession do not get the recognition we deserve. Think about it. You've got doctors, lawyers, engineers, chartered accountants, CEOs. They all are up there. Then you've got artists. You've got Uber drivers. You've got everyone. We're pretty much at the bottom of what we call the hierarchy food chain, right? I mean, who wants to say, I'll grow up and become an insurance advisor? Nobody. And I need that to change. The only way for us to change that is we, as a profession, learn to respect, teach, share best practices with each other. And that's the reason why I do these sessions, is I want you all to understand that our clients also have started thinking like that. What have you done to contribute back? So I sit down with clients and I do now charitable planning with them. I talk about impact investing. I say, how does your business impact society? How does your business impact the people around it? How does it impact your customers, your vendors, your suppliers, your stakeholders? How does it affect them? What have you done to create a good impact into their lives? What do you do to contribute back to society? It's a great strategy. It's a great conversation starter. And I want you all to realize that these are all conversation starters. Because if you want to prospect high net worth clients, you need to have good conversation starters. So if you want to get into the high net worth market, there are two phases of things that you will go through. Number one is the phase of understanding where you are. This is specifically for those of you who have been in the business less than 2 years and between the 2 and 5 year bracket, which is why I was asking you, how many of you have been in the business less than 5 years? Your job is to try and have 100 clients in your portfolio as soon as possible. Because if you don't have 100 clients within your portfolio, you're not busy enough. Right? So your job is to acquire 100 clients as soon as possible. That's what I call the minimum benchmark for the amount of activity that you should be doing in this business. Phase 2 is to learn to specialize. Once you have acquired 100 clients, the next step is learning to specialize for the next 100, 200, 300 clients that you will acquire in this business, is learning to specialize. And these are the two things that I want every single one of you all to create for yourself, a system of sustainability. Because if you cannot sustain this business, you will find reasons to leave. Guys, we all have good days and bad days. On our bad days, if you don't understand why you're doing this business, you don't feel excited about the clients you're going to meet, you will find a reason to change from this business. I can promise you this, in 23 years, there are many days when I wake up and I'm like, today I feel like doing nothing. How many of you go through that kind of an experience where you feel like you don't want to do anything? On that day, the only thing that drives you is the type of people you meet. On your bad day, make sure you have good people to meet. And that's a mantra I've created every day now. Every day, I like to meet people that I like. If I don't like you, I don't want to meet you. If I don't like you, Why am I working with you? If I don't like you, well, it's time to let go. So I want all of you all to realize this. Growing in this business only has one requirement: working with people that you like. It will help you grow this business very fast. I've already spoken about the 4 specializations, but when it comes to these 4 specializations, I want you all to get better clarity on a few things. Number one, what are the type of clients you like to work with? Which are the financial products you like? Which are the financial products you don't like? Can we all agree on one thing? That not all the products that our company has are the best. They're not. Let's agree on that. Identifying which products you love distributing and which products you don't like to distribute. Make a decision. I'll give you a simple example. I don't like to distribute health insurance. That's my personal opinion, right? I don't like to sell health insurance for a very simple reason. Too many terms and conditions. The product keeps changing. The premium keeps changing. You have to give servicing literally on a daily basis. You need a proper claims management system. You need a proper client servicing system. I don't have any of that. I don't have a good claims management system. I don't have a good servicing system for health insurance. So that's a product I don't distribute. I'm quite clear about that. I have clients. One of my biggest clients, I remember, one of my biggest clients, he told me, he's like, Sanjay, you handle all my life insurance. Can you handle my health insurance? And I said, no. And he said, why? And I said, well, I can give you the product on one condition, you will never claim. And he's like, but what if I fall sick? I said, don't claim. He's like, then why am I buying it? I said, I don't know. You're buying from the wrong guy. So I want all of you all to think about this, right? I don't like to sell certain products. My favorite product, I'll tell you my favorite product. So again, I'm being very transparent with every single one of you. My favorite products to sell, number one, I love selling life insurance because I truly believe that if you can plan the one guarantee in your life, which is your death, right? A lot of things will fall into place. It's guaranteed you will die. Might as well plan it. How many of you live in a country where they've already told you that the water is going to not come for a certain number of hours? So if the government is already telling you that from 9 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock in the morning, there will be no water. Wouldn't you plan for it? Wouldn't you fill up water and keep in the house in case you need it? You would. So it's a guarantee you're going to die. Why are you not planning it? It's guaranteed that if you have kids, when they grow up, they will probably want to study and you will probably need money for that. It's pretty much guaranteed. Why haven't you planned for that? Every time I meet people, especially youngsters in their 20s and 30s, they keep telling me, Sanjay, I want to retire when I'm 35, I want to retire when I'm 40, I want to retire when I'm 45. Well, if you do want to, then why don't you plan for it? We've got retirement planning wrong anyways, right? At 65, you're not retired, you're just tired. And I cannot emphasize this enough. I think we've got retirement planning wrong. Retiring at the age of 65, I think is absolutely useless. At the age of 65, I think you should start going back to work. I think you should go and be more interactive. You should be going back and giving back to society, your wisdom, your experience. And I think you should go back to work at 65. You should retire around 40 or 45. Because everything you want to do in your life, I think the right time to do it is around the age of 40 or 45. You're healthy enough to eat anything. When you get to 65, you can't eat stuff. You've got knee pain, you've got back pain. You probably can't travel as frequently. Taking on a hobby gets a little difficult. Memory starts getting affected, so you can't go back to school and study as well. So at 65, why don't you actually go back to work? Your friends are growing old. Some of them are already dying. The best time to spend time with your friends is when you're young. You want to drive that sports car? Do it at 40, 45. Plan for it. What's the point of driving a Ferrari at the age of 65 when you can barely get into the Ferrari? So you've got that wrong, guys. We've got retirement planning wrong. I mean, who said retirement should be at the age of 65? Who said that? Yeah, thanks, Aline. Eyes right. I think I just got an eyelash in my eye, which is fine now. So when do you really want to retire? Think about it. Everyone. When I sit down with high net worth clients, most of them tell me, Sanjay, I don't think I will ever retire. How many of you have heard that? That I don't think I will ever retire. How many of you have heard that? I have a lot of high net worth clients, and almost every single one of them, they tell me this. They're like, Sanjay, I don't think I will ever retire. And I said, you know what, Mr. Client, I actually agree with you. I don't even think you should retire because it's a fact. You have so much to contribute back to people around you, to society, to your family. I don't believe you should retire. I truly don't. But what I do want you to do is I want you to have the option to be able to retire. If one day you're just fed up of everything, I want you to be able to have the option to say, you know what, it's all right. I've given as much as I could and now I really just don't want to. I want to now do whatever makes me happy. So I want you to have the option to retire. If you don't want to retire, it's okay. But if you do want to retire, I want you to have the financial ability to do that. Retirement is not about money. Retirement is about lifestyle. What do you want to do when you wake up in the morning? That is retirement. Having the ability to wake up in the morning and do whatever you like and not have to follow a particular financial requirement pattern, which means if I don't go to work, I'm going to have a problem at home. That's all retirement means. Waking up and doing what you like. You could wake up early in the morning and go for a walk. You could do some yoga. You could do some meditation. You could go and learn some music. You can wake up and read a book. You can wake up and just relax. Go out, meet your friends, have a cup of coffee, take on a hobby, do some gardening, learn how to paint, learn a new game, go and learn a new sport, learn how to plan a travel, right? Learn to cook, go back to university. You can do what you like. That is retirement. So retirement is not about money, it's about lifestyle. And I want every single one of you to understand that retirement planning should be done for you to have the option to retire around the age of 40, 45. Because your kids are young enough to spend time with you and they are old enough to understand you. But as your kids grow up, they will have a life of their own and they will probably be spending time with their friends and they probably don't want to spend time with you. So when you get to 65, if you think you'll have that opportunity to spend time with your kids, doesn't usually happen. Think about it. At the age of 65, most grandparents are not looking at spending time with their kids, they're looking at spending time with their grandkids because they actually did not see their kids growing up. So now they're looking at their grandkids growing up because they were so busy. And that's pretty much every single grandparent that tells me. They're like, Sanjay, we love spending time with our grandkids because now we're watching our grandkids grow up. We didn't get the opportunity to spend our kids grow up because we were so hard, we were just working through their younger years. And I want that to change. I want parents to experience their kids growing up. And when they become grandparents, I want them to still continue experiencing or reliving their younger days through their grandkids. It's a beautiful experience. Wouldn't you like that? How many of you would like to retire in the next 5 years? Hand on heart. Okay, there's no clients in the session. It's all financial advisors. Let me ask all of you this question. How many of you would like to retire in the next 5 years? Just say yes. All right. The number of answers we're getting, right? All of you saying yes. Devi, Yusheng, Rebecca, Joanna, Jasmine. You're just saying yes is proof that we've got retirement planning wrong. If all of you want to retire in the next 5 years, why are you planning for retirement at 65? Why are you not planning for retirement in the next 5 years? Why not? And I'll tell you why. Because you have never been told that you can in the next 5 years. How much are you willing to sacrifice? So forget about percentages, forget about income. How much are you willing to sacrifice today so that in the next 5 years you can retire? Timothy says, no, that's all right. Not everyone will agree with you. That's all right. I'm okay with that. You see, I don't want to be an advisor to everybody. I want to be an advisor to those people who want to retire in the next 5 years. If you don't want to retire in the next 5 years, I'm the wrong advisor for you. Go and speak to an advisor that talks about retirement at 65. Not interested. Because I truly believe at 65 you don't retire, you're just tired. That's all right. You see, I'm not here to try and get every single client in the market. I told you, I'm a specialist. I'm a specialist that can help you retire in the next 5 years. And that's my USP. That's my USP. Think about it. All right. Dear sir, are we going to have a toilet break soon? All right, guys, let's do one thing. Let's take a break. We'll have about a 15-20 minute break. Harris, would you be able to take over from here? Yeah,
exactly. All right, so we'll do a 10-minute break. So it's 8:38 p.m. Singapore time right now. So we're back at 8:48 p.m. Singapore time. If you don't have the PDF notes, it's again available in the link in the caption of the video, so you can go ahead and download that. And then of course we have our 3 guest speakers coming in a little bit later. So we'll see you in 10 minutes. I hear that the sound's not working, so I'll be playing some songs from my Spotify list. Give me a moment. We'll be back in just a moment. Give me a second. And I'll be playing video calls.
And whenever we are starting pieces, our value will send special plan that asks upon solving, which I think is really amazing. He simply has answer to all the questions which I think all the members in this system. Aside from that, in this program, I get to know a lot of advisors from different countries who will share their pieces with you, and Dr. Sanjay will provide advice and solutions with you, which is an other. To this, I get to leverage from other people's experience and having exposure to pieces that I have never come across. My business has grown significantly by 300% ever since I joined this program. This program has not only allowed me to gain knowledge exponentially, it has also kept me on track to grow and keeping my mindset at the right place all the time. And if you are looking for a breakthrough, this is the solution.
This year, with BCC guidance, I achieved my MDRT in 2 months and my COT in 5 months. Hi, this is Nancy. I just started with the Big Case Closer program since the beginning of this year after listening to Dr. Sindhu's speech and watching all his video videos through all channels. He spent his precious time trained and guide and most importantly, answer to all the doubt any member had, including role-play students. With Sinjay's big group of members we have in this group, and for a Bruneian like me, it's really giving me a platform where I'm able to learn and get exposure to what others have come across. This program has helped me a lot since with better idea to handle my challenges with confidence, especially with my network business. We even have a special study group chat among the members to share their thoughts and ideas if we miss out any session or any case study. I am a leader and also a personal producer. I'm a member of MDRT with 1 MDRT, 11 COT, and 2 TOs. This year, with BCC guidance, I achieved my MDRT in 2 months and my COT in 5 months. I use more constructive and effective strategy to handle my personal selves and have more time spent with my team to help them grow. I have 2 of my team members with me in this program, and they achieved MDRT in 5 months too. If you feel you are stagnant in your productions and mindsets and wanting to make a difference in your career, you should consider joining us.
It's the first time I got my early MDRT in June 2022 because I joined BCC program. Hi, I'm Diana Maria from Indonesia. I've been in insurance industry for 12 years. It's the first time I got my early MDRT in June 2022 because I joined BCC program. The reason I joined BCC program is I was looking for a breakthrough and how to do better every year. I love the mentoring very much because I can learn about insurance from higher perspective. I'm also able to give better advice than most other advisors. I have many advisor friends from other countries and we share ideas to each other. The best one about this mentoring is Sanjay as my mentor. He always challenges the mentee how to be creative. A simple concept to clients. He teaches me to be a different financial advisor. My perspective, mindset, and prospecting have changed significantly since I joined the BCC program. Thank you, Dr. Sanjay, for mentoring me and sharing your knowledge and skill.
All right, Dr. Sanjay, you already can come in.
All right. Can I invite on Sean, Zia, and Connie to join in?
Hi, Dr. Sanjay.
Hey, Connie, hey, Zia.
Hi. Hi, Dr. Sanjay.
Good to see all of you. All right. So now let me quickly introduce everyone to to you, right? Connie is from Hong Kong. She's been an advisor for many years. And one of the things I love about Connie is she is probably the most inquisitive mentee that I have, right? She loves to try and understand everything in the world. And I love that about Connie. And I did want her to come and share a few ideas about how she's building in this business. Sean's a young guy who is doing very well. He's also won a challenge that I've set to all my mentees, and we call it the BCC Award. And Sean has won that. So congratulations, Sean. I'm really proud of you. Out of the news, Sean's getting married tomorrow. So thanks for taking the time to be here, guys. You have to appreciate one thing, that none of them are doing this for money. They're actually here to share because they truly believe in giving back to our profession. Guys, a little background for you about Zia. Zia's been in the business for many years, but more importantly, she did not start her career in insurance, right? So she's changed careers, and she's not just a financial advisor, she's also a very strong social influencer. So I did want Zia to share with us a few strategies, especially from the perspective of how that helped her business, how it helped her grow. Zia and I have very different types of market strategies, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted Zia to come and share as well, because we have different opinions. I do want to recognize one thing that I think everyone should know. There is no correct strategy, there's no wrong strategy. As long as the strategy works, it's correct, right? So I did want everyone to give their opinion and their facts. Connie, let me start with you. How do you find high net worth clients, Connie?
First of all, I come from a very FH community, and at 5 years ago, all of my friends are also coming from a very FH community as well. But how to enter a high net worth client? So first of all, I would like to share one of my failure with all of you guys first, because at that time when my very first rich client come to me and asked me to do a illustration of a critical illness for their children, because at that time most of my market is mass market. The maximum I do is just around 1 million Hong Kong dollar sum insured, just around 120k sum insured for children, because I think it's enough for children. So I proposed the illustration to my rich client, and the rich client said that sorry, I will not consider the illustration because the amount is so few. They will even not bother to claim. They will even not bother. 5 million Hong Kong dollars, say it would be around 300k USD dollar for each client, for each student. So at that time, it really wows me. It really shocked me that, it is really what which client would think. It really also reflects how my understanding is so poor in the sector of rich family. So at that time, I tried to attend all the training that is regarding the financial tools of the rich family. The trust, the will, the tax planning tools, and also join the BCC program, and also need to also get a lot of case studies from my senior, from supervisor. So at that time, I have a little book, and I record all the case studies, and I share all the case studies with all my friends, no matter it is an average community, no matter it is a rich community, because I want to make sure they know every case study that I know, and then they help me to spread the message. So at that time, they did help me to spread the message, and I started to get some recommendation, which is coming from richer families. So at that time, I started to feel, my network is starting to get a little bit richer. So it is how I started to do high net worth cases.
Guys, Connie, thank you for sharing that, but I do want everyone to recognize experience that Connie had, and I'm sure every single one of you have had that experience at some point in the past. She presented $1 million Hong Kong dollar application for a client's child, and the client came back and said, that's too little. I should be doing at least 3 million, right? Guys, the same thing happened to me, right? One of my very high net worth clients, and this was about 20 years ago, if I'm not wrong. No, this was about 15 years ago. So 15 years ago, I was already a top of the table member, and I was selling about $1 million to $2 million worth of life insurance. That was my US dollars worth of life insurance. That was my average case size at that time. And I sat down with this client and I told him, I think you need to buy about $2 million of life insurance. And he looks at me and he's like, but that's so little. I mean, if I'm not doing at least 10 million, the family, I mean, they will buy 2 cars with that and then they will forget about the money. So if I really want to buy life insurance, I should be buying 10 million. And at that time, it came out from my mouth. I was just thinking it, but sometimes you think and it just comes out of your mouth. That's what happened with me. It came out. I said, but I think it'll be very expensive. And he told me, he said, Sanjay, who are you to decide what is expensive? So guys, if there's one thing to take away from Connie's story, right? I want you to take away the fact that we are scared of big numbers, not our clients, right? It's our fear that actually stops us from doing big cases. We need to learn to present the right amount of insurance to our clients. That's our job. Our job is not to make a decision whether a case is big or premium is high. That's not our decision. Let our clients tell us, but Sanjay, I think that's too high. All right, where would you like to start? Right? It's easier for your clients to scale down to the level that they feel comfortable rather than you try to scale up to the level they need to be at, right? And that's one thing I do want you to take away from Connie's story. It's not about the background you come from. It's about the fear that we have internally. So Connie's biggest fear was she thought $1 million Hong Kong dollars was enough. It was a client that told her it's not. And I had exactly the same experience 15 years ago. Guys, after that experience, that same client, instead of buying $10 million, has purchased $40 million of life insurance from me, right? That just tells you how much I was underselling to my clients. You will be shocked how much money clients truly believe their children need if something did happen to them. And the formula does not change for life insurance. The formula is 10 times of annual income. If you are earning $1 million every year, you need $10 million of life insurance. If you're earning $10 million every year, you need $100 million of life insurance. Think about it. Your lifestyle is based on your income. Life insurance is only a multiple of that income. That's the formula, right? So Connie, thank you very much for sharing that. Sean, I do want to ask you a question. There was one particular question that I was truly excited about asking you was, if you had to go back in time, right? You've been in the business quite a few years now. If you had to go back in time and give yourself advice as a new advisor, what advice would you give yourself?
So for me, just a bit of background. So I came from the banking space. So I was in the bank for about 5 to 6 years, and I left the bank and I joined this insurance industry. So for myself, I think it's more of knowing my stuff well, because people always say, fake it till you make it kind of thing. However, for working with financial clients, one thing for sure is they definitely know their stuff, right?
Sean, can you imagine if a doctor said that? I will fake it till I make it.
Yeah, but it's true. There's a lot of colleagues or people or mentee that haven't seen that they have been faking till they make it, they think they know their stuff. But when clients question them, they got stuck and they're not sure how to move on, right? So definitely for myself is choosing a specialization. For example, let's say you want to specialize in investments or in risk management or whatnot. So find a specialization that you're good in and then really know your stuff well so that you can answer clients' questions. I'll just give an example. Just last month, I was working with this client who is towards the 50 million kind of AUM. So he was always questioning me. He say, but my banker is telling me this, my banker is telling me that, my banker is telling me this. So what's your opinion on this as well? So lucky for me as well, the product is talking about structured products, portfolio financing. I'm a bit familiar with coming from the bank. So I was able to answer his question and of course give my opinion on it. So with that, actually I'm actually in discussion with him to do a 1 case 1 MDRT right now as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, guys, I want all of you all to pick up one thing from Sean's story. And the one thing that I really liked about Sean was he's always very transparent about what he thinks, right? You can't fake it till you make it in this business. I want you guys to all understand that. Can you imagine if your doctor had the same mentality, or your engineer or your architect had the same mentality, right? They'll fake it till you make it. Can you imagine the kind of construction or the kind of medical treatments you'll be getting? In our business, we are financial doctors, right? We are actually doing, we are constructing for the future of our family, of our friends, our families. You can't fake it till you make it. You have to learn and spend time to grow in this business. You have to learn to invest in yourself. You have to go out and spend time to understand how your products were created, why they were created, what is the right way to position those products. You have to also remember, even if you're new in this business, you're not new in this world. You have experiences from your previous work. You have experiences from your college, from your university. You've done so many projects. You've got projects from school where you have spent time to learn different things, right? You're not new in the world. You might be new to this profession, but you're not new to the world. And that's what I want all of you all to realize, that you have a lot of life experience. If you don't have life experience, people around you, your managers, your CEOs, your colleagues, they have life experience. Use them. There's nothing wrong in leveraging on your team, leveraging on the people around you. I was not born successful in the world of insurance. I leveraged on my family's background. I spoke to my mentor. I have 7 mentors today, right? And as all 7 mentors work on different aspects of my business. Some people help me with my administration. Some people guide me on my life skills. Some people guide me on my conversational skills. So I have a different mentor for different reasons. And you have to choose a specialization. That's exactly what Sean was trying to tell you, that if you don't choose a specialization, you become a generalist. Sean does like investments, and I do know that some of you love investments. So guys, don't ever lose out on that background. Now, Z, I want to ask you a question, Z. You've been a social influencer for a long time, right? And you're well known online. You're well known across different social media channels. How do you continue managing or building a relationship with people that you probably don't meet as often as you would like to? So how do you manage your relationships? How do you stay in touch with people? What is the different ways that you use to continue communicating with your network? How do you do that?
Okay, I think for me, social media play a very, very big role in managing relationship, because I think it's especially prominent during MCO, during the lockdown when we cannot meet anyone else at all. It is during that time I realized that I can actually use it to still get in touch with my clients, because a lot of them, I don't really meet them on day-to-day basis. Like sometimes, how do I actually get to know that they got pregnant, they got married, they have actually got the update? It's actually something new that's actually going on in their life. I mean, that is how I use social media to stay connected with my clients. That's one of the way, yeah.
All right, I'm going to ask you a very, very personal question. How much time do you spend on social media every day?
Can I be honest? Actually, I don't. Actually, I don't. I mean, like, on social media, but to be very, very honest, the amount of time that I spend on social media is probably less than 2 hours.
Okay, so you spend about 2 hours a day. So let's say we spend about 2 hours a day on social media. How many messages do you get a day?
You mean it's like insurance related, or it can be anything else at all?
Anything.
Anything else at all? I think about 10 to 20. It depends on like what did I uploaded or what did I posted on that day. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you get about 10, 20 messages. So do you reply to them yourself personally? Do you have a team that does it for you? How does it happen?
I do it all on my own actually. I do it on my own.
There are a lot of advisors who want to become social influencers, right? I'm going to ask a very personal question. Can anyone become a social influencer, or do you need certain skills or certain strategies to become a social influencer?
Okay. What is it for again? Is it for business or is it for leisure?
Influencer you want to become. You can't. You have to identify. Do you want to do it for business? Do you want to do it for from a leisure perspective, that you just want to be having people following you, right? So Zia, again, let's think from a business perspective. Don't use social media, right? I don't use social media at all to get clients or to maintain relationship with clients. My social media platform is specifically only to be in touch with other financial advisors, because initially, I'm talking about 10 years ago, when I started doing a little bit of social media work business, all the content that I created was only being used by other financial advisors. And I realized that the only people who followed me were other financial advisors. I had none of my clients following me, right? Or saying, hey, Sanjay, I saw that post. I save more money? Hey, Sanjay. Saw that post, can I buy more life insurance? I didn't have a single person ever contacting me and saying, Sanjay, can I buy life insurance? Actually, I think the only people that contacted me were people who couldn't get life insurance. I had more people telling me, hey, Sanjay, my mom needs medical insurance. 5 years old. Sanjay, I just got diagnosed with cancer. Can I buy insurance now? Sanjay, I got diagnosed with diabetes. Can I buy medical card? Those are the kind of messages I was getting on social media, right? And kind of drove me nuts because I was basically getting so many people that I couldn't. Help, right? And then I had some people going on and commenting on my social media point of buying insurance, and I'm like, oh, right? So it kind of started demotivating me, and that's when I realized, you know what, I'm not going to spend any time on social media. And since then, I haven't. But I want to ask you this question. I mean, we are moving in a different era today, and I know you're successfully finding clients through social media. So what kind of posts do you put up? To attract these type of clients?
Okay, I think one thing that I learned from Dr. Sanjay is that, fear can sell really fast, but it's only happiness that will actually help you to sell big. I think when I started, one of the biggest mistakes that I was making is I post a lot of medical insurance related content. The one day Dr. Sanjay is, don't let me see you posting any medical insurance. I didn't get it that time actually. So I sold a lot of medical insurance, and I really understand how I can never get any high net worth client. I'm always in the mass market getting people inquiring for medical insurance. And like what Dr. Sanjay said, these people are usually people that, oh, I have diabetes, can I still get medical insurance? I get a lot of things like that. And then when I learned a lot more from Dr. Sanjay, I start to change my angle. So like, again, is social media for business or for leisure? For me right now, it's a business too. So a lot of events that I think that if I'm going to meet a lot of mass clients, I'm not going to attend. I'm not going to do any related posting, but instead I choose event that where I can get exposed to more high net worth client. That's one of the way that I'm actually doing it. And of course, because like I want to have a shared interest with high net worth client. So what I do if I get certain exclusive invite, I will actually invite my top tier client and all to actually attend together with me. So actually that is how I have been using my social media for. I mean, it's really just for business, and the content that I actually made, instead of like very common terms like medical insurance, life insurance and all, I started to use something like what Sanjay also told us before, like, the rich, they are no longer talking about education fund, they're talking about play fund. Words like that. And people will be curious, oh, what is play fund all about? So I don't need to tell them that I'm selling any plan, but I just want to share with them.
Let me stop you there. Guys, for those of you who don't understand what the meaning of play fund is, Zia actually is using a concept that I taught a couple of years ago, and I think every single BCC member knows about this. I think the best way for children to become successful in life is to have a play fund, right? Money that they can play with. Because if they lose that money, it's money that's outside your estate. It's not your money, it's my money. Which money do you want your children to play with? Your money or my money? So if you want them to play with my money, why don't we create a separate fund? It's called a play fund, right? And that play fund will allow your children to be able to try new ideas, be innovative, be creative. If they have a crazy idea that they want to try out, use the play fund, not use your family's assets, right? So instead of creating an education fund for your kids, why don't we create a play fund for your kids? And that conversation actually allowed you to work with high net worth clients, because a lot of high net worth clients are like, I don't need to save for my kids' education. I mean, how much will it cost? $500,000, $1 million? I already have that. But when you change your terminology, right, you stop talking about education fund and you start talking about play fund, you kind of open up a new conversation, right? You're talking a little different language from all the other advisors in the market. And I'm glad Zia mentioned this, because a lot of people don't realize the change of your word choice will affect your business, right? So Sean, I want to ask you a follow-up question, right, to what Zia just said. How do you find high net worth clients today? So what's your strategy for finding new clients today?
For myself, because I'm coming from the bank again, I'm very used to doing cold market, so I'm very used to cold calling. I'm still doing that today. It's been proven to be successful.
So
However,
how do you get your list of people to call?
Some are from my previous client I haven't talked to for a while. I mean, that's not really cool, but majority of them also because I do run advertisements on social media, which I know there's a lot of argument on that, whether it works, it doesn't work. So far, it's working well for me. But mainly, I'm trying to shift my perspective over to the warm market, which we have been advocating as well. So I think bringing back to what you shared as well, I think one of the mistakes I made previously also was always trying to force a sale. Each time I meet the client, it's always forcing a sale. But it's more of meeting them for not for appointments but just for meetings, right? Having meetings rather than appointments. So just meeting them for coffee, a short 15 minutes, 20 minutes, that would suffice. And after that, get to know them a bit better. So I just shared with you a case study as well. I just met this client sometime last week, actually for quite a while, from last year till now. Been following with him just for coffee, never discussed about anything about insurance or investment related. It's always how are you, how's business, etc., etc. And slowly he started referring quite a few of his colleagues and his bosses, which they are pretty in high net worth space. So from then on, I had some of the contacts and I managed to close some of them. So the mistake previously was always trying to force a deal, but right now I'm just trying to slowly take my time, build a rapport. Again, because high net worth clients, they usually don't expose everything to you on the first meeting. They probably need to see your credibility. They probably need to see whether are you good enough. Are you just here for a one-time thing? So it's more of playing a long-term game.
I kind of agree with you. So I think one of the biggest mistakes we make, and that's in the high net worth space, is we forget that our business is a relationship business, not a transactional business, right?
Yeah.
High net worth space, if your product is transactional, you will get very quickly replaced, right? You get replaced by technology, you get replaced by what we call aggregators, you get replaced by other advisors. But if you build the right relationship, right, your clients kind of stay with you for a long time. So if you want to work in the high net worth space, you have to build relationships, right? You have to meet them without the agenda of sales, but rather meet them with the agenda of value adding or giving them good advice. And I don't want you all to take this away from Sean's message. I do want to ask Sean a question. I mean, this is a burning question for me because I never do cold calls, right? I don't have, I would say, the patience to just talk to someone, just pick up the phone and call someone. I'm being very transparent with you, right? The strategy is not right. The strategy is not wrong. The strategy, if it works for you, it's right. If it doesn't work for you, it's wrong, right? And for Sean, cold calling does work. So I do want to ask Sean this question because I've never been able to do this. What do you say when you call people cold, right? So let's say you're calling me. What would you be saying?
I think it really depends on the ad that I put out. So for example, the one that I'm running is more for investment. So how to generate certain amount of dividends or how to grow X amount of.
All right, so I saw that advertisement of yours, right? And I said, okay, this guy is talking about dividends, and okay, I give you my telephone, I give you my email address, telephone number, and I allow you to get in touch with me. Can we do a role play?
All right. Let's do it.
Yeah, you call me, right? Or I call you. What happens?
Okay, so hi, this is Sanjay.
Yes, it is. Who's this?
Hey, Sanjay, this is Sean. I actually received your application sometime last week that you wanted to find out more about a high dividend fund that gives you 6 to 7% on the per annum on money basis. Just want to call whether it's a good
I think I clicked that by mistake.
You clicked that by mistake? Yeah, no worries. I'll just hang up and move on because for me it's a
good.
game.
Okay. This is exactly what I want everyone to realize, right? If someone tells you I clicked it by mistake, you need to learn to go and move on. You know, problem. Sean, and the reason why I wanted to say that was because a lot of advisors don't understand that when you get a lead, it could potentially just be a mistake that they clicked, right?
Yeah.
And they get hung up on the fact that, okay, at least talk to me. I mean, why are you not interested in dividends? Or why are you not interested in that? So instead of doing that, just accept that they clicked it by mistake and move on, right?
Yeah,
and I did want people to realize that. All right, so let's continue the conversation. I say, yeah, Sean, yes, I did. I was interested in finding out what kind of dividends are you paying out?
It really depends on your risk profile we're talking about here because, of course, depending if you're lower risk, definitely the yield that we can't generate, it won't be as high compared to your higher risk taker. So generally what I would propose to you, Sanjay, is let's have a quick short meeting, Zoom meeting of 15-20 minutes to see whether investment suits you as well, because ultimately not everyone suits investment.
So what kind of investments do you do, Sean?
Plenty. So it's more towards unit trust, structured products. We're able to do portfolio financing. So again, investment is quite a wide range. So again, let's have a conversation to see what suits you better and see whether we can work together. Because again, if it doesn't suit you, I find there's no point to continue as well.
I actually don't understand what that means. So structured notes, what was the other words you said? I couldn't remember also.
Structured notes, structured products. Yeah.
Okay, this is the other thing I want all of you to understand. Sometimes when you're having conversations, a lot of clients don't understand the different type of investments available in the market, right? And I do want you to understand that while Sean is doing this, he's working on the principle of large numbers. How many calls do you make in a day, Sean?
Depends. So it could range from 5 to 15.
5 to 15 calls. And how much time does each call approximately last?
For your first role play, probably less than a minute. For average, I would say it's only about 3 to 5 minutes because generally I don't like to talk too much on the phone.
Got it. Okay, so do they quickly give you appointments? So how many of these, what's your conversion rate on these 5 to, let's say you're making on an average 10 calls a day. What's your conversion rate in terms of converting them to meetings?
I would say it's about 2 to 3.
So your conversion rate into a meeting from a call to meeting is about 20 to 30%.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So let's say you've got 30%. How much of these 30% clients meetings turn into clients for you?
So let's say out of the 3 that I meet, usually one or two. I would say one. I would say averagely one.
Which is the industry average. So I want all of you guys to understand, guys, if you're in the cold market, which a lot of you are, I want you all to understand that the cold market conversion from a call to a meeting is about 20 to 30%. And the conversion on that 20 to 30% is roughly about 1 in 3, which is 33% of them converted to clients, which is 10% of your initial data bank. So it is the law of large numbers, and you need to understand that. So Sean, I'm glad you shared that, because a lot of people have got this misconception that if I call 10 people, it'll get converted into 6 or 7 potential meetings.
If you're good.
I mean, you're good. You are already good, right? Guys, let me get one thing clear. Sean's above average. He's not the average advisor in the market. He's an above average, probably one of the top advisors. And at his level, if he's getting a 20, 30% conversion rate, do you realize how confident he is in talking? Versus how many of us are as confident as he is with our technical knowledge, with our personality? We might not be able to live up to that expectation of a phone call, right? And that's the other thing that I want a lot of y'all to realize, that cold calling might not be for everyone. It is a potential strategy, but it might not be for everyone. Plus, you need to have the ability that Sean had, right? For example, when someone says, don't call me back, or I clicked it by mistake, I'm not interested. How quickly do you get over that and say, you know what, okay, all right, next. And you just quickly get over it. Most of us get hung up that, how did you let go of that lead? I'd given your name, I'd given your number, and you let go of that lead. I mean, imagine if that could get converted even into a small medical insurance case. You'd have recovered the money that you spent on acquiring that lead, blah, blah, blah. People get stuck up on that, right? And they don't realize that cold calling is the average of large numbers, or it is about large numbers. So thanks, Sean, for sharing that. I'm so glad that we had this role play. And by the way, guys, none of this was practice, all right? So let me get one thing clear. They have no clue what questions I'm going to ask them. The only thing I gave them before the session, I just told them, I was like, please just share your story, because I want all of you all to be yourself. None of this was practice. None of these questions were given to them in advance. Actually, most of them are surprised on the questions I'm asking them, because there was no plan on this one, right? Connie, I want to ask you a question.
Sure, yes.
Connie, what does your schedule look like now? So let's say today was Monday, right? It was the first day of the week. What would your schedule look like?
If it is Monday, for Monday it is my slowest day, because I would try not to call client on Monday, but I will start calling client on from Tuesday to Saturday, because Monday usually for them is they are busy with their own work, because they have lots of planning in their own work. So my weekend schedule will be more likely on Tuesday to Saturday. Sometimes I night calls, because most of them are parents.
Okay, so what does a Tuesday look like? All right, so let's forget about Monday. What does a Tuesday look like? So what time do you get up?
Oh, get up. Get up. Usually 7 o'clock.
All right, so you get up at 7 o'clock, and then what do you do after that?
Okay, so I arrive at the office at 9 o'clock, and then I started to send message to my client, because I always want to make an appointment with them first. So for example, I would say, okay, can I call you, say, anytime next week, or I would book a schedule, because I do not want to suddenly call my client, and my client would not prefer that as well. So I will make an appointment. So sometimes a lot of appointment will make months later, but that's fine for me, because I think at least I get contact with them. But because my database is big enough, because I work for so many years, so I will try to make it very full in my schedule. So I do calls, I do WeChat, WhatsApp, this kind of activities.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. So 9 o'clock you get to the office, all right? And then from 9 o'clock till what time do you make calls?
It would say around 11 a.m.
All right, so 2 hours you're spending time making calls.
Yes.
Okay, and then from 11 o'clock onwards, what do you do?
Calls, a lot of calls, back to back. Calls.
Back to back calls. And what kind of calls? Do you do Zoom calls? Do you do phone calls? What type of calls do you do?
I think 80% of them is WeChat calls or WhatsApp calls. And 20% of them are Zoom calls. Actually, before the COVID, I never do Zoom call, and the client do not accept that. But thanks for the COVID, a lot of clients prefer to have Zoom call and also the WeChat call. So it saved me a lot of traveling time.
Got it. Now, how many clients do you meet face to face per day?
Face to face, I think just around 2 and 3. Because most of my, to be honest, most of my call, lunch hours, and also lunch hour and the office hour.
So what time is office hours? So I'm looking at your time. You're doing 9 to 11. You're doing future phone calls, meetings, appointments for the future. 11 to let's say 1 o'clock. So that's another 2 hours. You're doing phone calls to existing clients or to people who you've got appointments with. And then 1 o'clock, around 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, you're doing lunch appointments, or what we call face-to-face lunch meetings. People. And then after lunch, do you still have appointments with people face-to-face?
No, to be honest, I do not do a lot of face-to-face selling. Most of the kind I do is do by phone calling, because I do most of mainland Chinese client. So sometimes I will call them, confirm things, and then they will fly to Hong Kong to sign the policy. So the first time I meet them is the time when they sign the policy.
Fantastic. Guys,
So
I
this is
want
how
you to learn something that I want to mention something that Connie is doing. A lot of you have the opportunity to do, but you're not doing. It's what we call cross-border transactions. There are a lot of clients that don't mind flying to your country to buy your financial products, right? So for example, Connie has clients in mainland China. They actually fly to Hong Kong to buy insurance from her. There are many advisors who have the opportunity to sell. For example, in Malaysia, you've got MM2H clients, right? Clients who fly to Malaysia to make Malaysia their second home. How many of you have specialized in working with expatriates moving to Malaysia? Singapore is allowed to do business in the region. Indonesians have a lot of expats that are moving into Indonesia. that live in India, not just India, but you've got so many NRIs, I was just going to say not required Indians because I'm an NRI. It's non-resident Indian, right? I call myself a not required Indian, but NRI market, right? So you have a lot of Indians that live outside of India that would like to do financial planning back in India. So a lot of you are losing out on these opportunities in your region, right? You're losing out on opportunities of clients who would like to start working in your country or start to set up a residency or start to set up a business in your country. Why are none of you looking at that potential opportunity? And in those cases, you might not even have to meet them face to face. They probably just want to talk to an advisor over the phone, email, a Zoom call, which saves you a lot of time. By the way, guys, just a little background for you. I specialize in what we call the expat market, right? So I work with expatriates globally. If you're an expat, I'm the kind of advisor that you want to work with, because I only specialize in the expat market. I like to work with clients who've got assets in multiple countries because they've got multiple tax liabilities or multiple issues globally, and I would get involved with that kind of a client. So, Connie, thank you for sharing that, because a lot of people don't realize how they can work with international clients or clients in other countries which would want to be working into that particular local jurisdiction, right? So Malaysia, you have the same opportunity. Singapore, you have the same opportunity. Thailand, you have that opportunity. You have a lot of foreigners that are moving to Thailand, and they're looking at doing insurance or doing financial planning in Thailand. A lot of people don't spend that time to have those conversations with those people. So thanks for sharing that, Connie. I'm so glad we had that. Guys, before we end your session, and thank you very much for sharing, I do want all of you all, each one of you, right? So we'll start with Sean, and then we'll go to Connie and then Zia. But I want you to give one piece of advice to everyone that's listening in today, right? What's the one key advice that you would give to everyone that wants to enter into the high net worth market? Just a quick, short, quick idea that you would recommend anyone to listen to, right? So Sean, let's start with you.
I think apart from of course, knowing your stuff very well, the very key thing that I see a lot of my mentees miss is not able to pitch big. I think that is the ultimate killer for a lot of them. They don't dare to pitch big amount. For example, if a client is worthy to do a 10 million by web pitch, 1 million, you just miss opportunity right there. And always start big, because it's easier to bring down rather than you start small and try to bring it up.
I'm so glad you emphasized on that. Guys, if you truly want to do large cases, you have to get away from the fear of large numbers, right?
Yeah.
If you're scared of big numbers, it's going to affect your closing ratio, it's going to affect your sales, it's going to affect everything. So do listen in. I mean, I've said that, Zia said that, Connie has said that, Sean has said that. If all of us have said that, it must be correct. So don't ever lose out on that opportunity of being able to work on large numbers, and don't get scared of large numbers. All right, Connie, what's one last advice that you would give to everyone that's listening to this session today?
I would say before taking any actions, try to think about what the ordinary consultant will do and do not do it. The reason why is which families would a lot of financial consultant, tax consultant, lawyer consultant will come to them because they love their money. So they are first suspicious of everyone. They are coming near to them. So in order to gain their respect, you need to think about what ordinary consultant would do and do not do it. Try to go extra miles. Always think about what are the creative way, what are the better way to really to serve them, gain their respect, and they will think that, oh, you are really different from the ordinary people. You deserve
Connie, I love your answer. Connie, I absolutely love your answer, right? Yeah. Guys, if you truly want to be successful in this business, look at what everyone's doing and not do it. I love that one. The good news is this session, we only got about 5 500 people who are listening into the session. So guys, the advantage you have is that you need to see what other people or other advisors in your market are doing and not do exactly that, right? You need to learn to stand out. So if the message that Connie is trying to make is don't become the average advisor. Learn to become a specialist. Learn to become special. You have to become someone different, right? If your conversation is exactly like the neighborhood advisor, then you're going to be treated like the neighborhood advisor. If you want to stand out from the crowd, you have to have better conversations. You have to have better presentations. You have to have newer presentations. You have to have better stories, right? So, Connie, thank you very much for that. I mean, that made me crack up, and I could see Sean smiling a lot, which is great because Sean doesn't smile a lot. I hope all of you have realized that. Right? Very difficult to make Sean smile, and he's laughing at what Connie said. So well done. Thanks for that. Connie, Zia, we're going to end with you. Tell me one good advice that you would want to leave with all the viewers that are watching the session.
Okay, I would say you got to sell as if medical insurance is not sellable in your company. I mean, that's something that I learned that really helped me to actually move forward in what I'm actually doing right now. I know it's very difficult, especially in Malaysia. I tried to nego with Dr. Sanjay a few times and say it's impossible to not sell medical insurance. I think it really comes to a point that I will only nego or still persuade you to get a plan, then I will still do it. But other than that, I think I wouldn't want to waste a single effort into selling plans that everyone else is actually selling against, exactly like what Connie is actually saying earlier. If everyone's selling medical insurance, you've got to stop selling medical insurance if you want to move to the high net worth market.
You know, okay, so I'm going to support Zia on this like 100% because if you are a mentee of mine in the BCC program, I've probably dissuaded all of you from selling medical insurance for a very simple reason. I truly believe high net worth clients, medical card or medical insurance.
I have this client that's a high net worth client. One of the mistakes that I've done is that I opened up a medical insurance. Our medical insurance annual limit is about 3 million ringgit. So I tell them, they actually offer you a 3 million annual limit. The client responded is like, why do I need a 3 million? I have that. So it's an immediate fail. So
yeah.
I think, yeah.
So that's one thing I do want to tell you. When you get into the high net worth space, right? A medical insurance should not be a sale product. It should be a byproduct. So your client should tell you, okay, give me a medical insurance, and you're like, which one? And they say, well, the one that your company has. Okay, then just buy it. But your job is not to sell medical insurance. If your client wants to buy medical card, great. If they don't want to buy, just move on. What I have realized is when you're working with high net worth clients, their credit card limit might be more than the medical insurance limit that your company offers, right? So I'll give you an example. I have a client, his credit card limit is in a few $1 million. And he's like, Sanjay, your medical card or your medical insurance will cover me for how much? And I said, for $5 million. And he said, well, that's my credit card limit. I mean, I can just pay that on my credit card. And I didn't want to waste my time trying to explain to him why medical insurance is important. Sometimes you just wait for them to have that experience and then they'll come to you and try to buy it. And at that time, you just tell them, sorry, can't give it to you. I love saying that to some of my clients because it tells them that if they didn't make a decision early, it's their fault, not mine, right? So I tell people, yes, you need medical insurance, but you can buy it online. I truly believe medical insurance should be sold online because it's such a complicated product, right? There's so many terms and conditions, the benefits keep changing, the premiums keep changing, and most of our clients complain exactly about that. And what I love about life insurance as a product, it's a very simple product. You have to die, right? It's as simple as that. There's nothing complicated about death. With retirement planning, it's such a product with all the options. You tell me when you want to retire, and I plan according to that. When it comes to play fund creation, or creating a play fund, it's a very simple conversation. How much money do you want me to create for your kids to play with? You tell me, I create it, right? So it makes life very easy. With medical insurance, it does get a little difficult. So I do tell almost every mentee of mine, please don't spend too much time on that product. If your clients are willing to buy, great. If they're not willing to buy, move on, right? It's an important product, but sometimes you have to just be slapped hard before you learn to appreciate that product. I believe in the future. So in the next 5 or 6 years, I truly believe medical insurance will become a commodity product. It will get standardized across all companies. It'll get regulated heavily. The governments will get involved, and basically the price will become what we call a standard price across all companies. Benefits will become standard across all companies, and there'll be very little innovation that will happen in that space. So That's my personal belief. I could be wrong, guys. I'm not Nostradamus, but I can give you some trends and perspectives. So, guys, thank you very much for coming in. Really appreciate you taking your time out and sharing your thoughts and ideas. And I'm glad you could play free flow with me, because, guys, truly, this wasn't planned. None of these questions were at all on agenda. It was just something that I wanted them to answer for every single one of you. And Sean, thank you very much for the role play. I'm glad a lot of people get the idea that confidence plays such an important role in if you're in the cold market space. Zia, thank you for sharing your social media strategy, because a lot of people don't understand what social media can and cannot do, and it might not be for everyone. So I do want that to be very clear that it's not for everyone. It's for some, it's not for some, right? And Connie, thank you for sharing your experience about how you moved from working in the average market to trying and working with the high net worth market. It could be across multiple countries, right? So thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Sanjay.
All right. So, guys, now coming back to having conversations with us. I do want to spend some time with all of you now talking about the 4 types of high net worth clients, right? And if you understand this, it will help you a lot in your business. There are basically 4 types of high net worth clients. Number one is people who are self-employed and they have a family business, right? So this is one category of clients. Self-employed, having a family business. So I'll give you an example. One of my clients, he is working with an airline, and he also has his family runs a family business. Now he's a successful employee at this airline, and his business is also successful. So this is one type of client. Another type of client is who have built a business outside of their usual family business, right? So let's say, for example, this client of mine, his textile business, but he went into doing technology. So he provides IT services and he runs his own business. So he's self-employed. He has his own IT business, but his family is running a textile business. What type of advice would you give them, right? So they are self-employed, but they also have another family business that's running. Type C is clients who are what we call first generational business owners. They don't inherit anything. They've just started a business from scratch and they've been running the business by themselves. That's the third category of clients. And the fourth category of clients are people who come from family backgrounds which don't have a family business. Everyone's probably a professional, for example. They could be doctors, they could be engineering families, they could be teachers, and then they go on to becoming a super professional, right? The CEO of a multinational company. So these are 4 categories of rich clients. Successful entrepreneurs who have started from scratch, successful employees who also have a family business on the side, successful family businesses which have added a new vertical, or a successful professional. So if I had to categorize these 4 people, these are the 4 categories of high net worth clients that are around you. Now, why am I sharing these 4 categories with you? The requirement, the mindset, the psychology of each of these clients is very different. So let's take each of these clients separately. I want you to think about the person who has just started, or someone who is running a very successful business who he or she started by themselves. Now, what we call first generation entrepreneurs are probably the highest risk takers by personality. First generation entrepreneurs. I'm going to repeat this. First generation entrepreneurs are probably the highest risk takers in the world. These are people who don't believe in any other investment except their own business. I'm sure how many of you have heard this? How many of you have heard your clients telling you, Sanjay, I think the best place for me to invest my money is in my own business? How many of you have heard that? All right. So quite a few of you have clients who tell you that the best place for me to invest money is in my own business. Guys, when you have a client like that, instead of telling them, no, but what if your business fails? What is your emergency? What is your backup plan? Instead of driving fear, right? Instead of driving fear, learn to agree with them because they are absolutely correct. These guys are people who love taking risk. If you stop them from taking risk, you're actually removing a portion of their personality. Right? So this is what I tell them. I'm like, Mr. Client, you are absolutely correct. The best place for you to invest money is in your own business. Now, I work with some of the biggest business owners in the world. And what they've done is they've created something called a growth fund. They've created a fund. What they do, they take 20% of their growth fund. Within 5 years, almost 100% of the profit is now inside a growth fund. Now that 100% profit, they use the income from that profit to try new business ideas, to acquire a new business line, to try new marketing strategy. Liquidity. So they create a fund on the side which is called the growth fund. The whole purpose of the growth fund is to allow you to try new business ideas, new marketing strategies, new markets, new products, recruiting some new talent, right? And we create a fund called the growth fund that will help you grow your business. I absolutely agree with you. The best own business. Guys, please learn to help your clients grow. Don't become a person who stops them from growing. All these self-made entrepreneurs know how to handle emergencies. They know how to handle liquidity. They know how to handle everything. So there are only two things that I recommend every single major risk-taking entrepreneur. Only two things. Number one, a fantastic growth fund that allows you to take on more risk in the future. And number two, an income protection strategy, because in case you fall sick, your income will get affected. So you don't need to buy any investments, but you need to have definitely an income protection insurance in place, which a lot of us call critical illness insurance, right? Please understand, do you realize my choice of words is different? So instead of saying, what's your backup plan? What's your emergency plan? What's your emergency fund? You should keep 6 to 9 months of your expenses in cash. Forget it. These guys don't believe in that concept. This is what everyone tells them. I become the advisor that actually tells these clients, you know what? Invest all your money in your business because your business is going to give you the highest the best return. That's reality. Let's create a growth fund so that your business grows over a period of time. Our job as financial advisors is to help our clients grow in life. Not to stop them from growth, right? So why don't you give them a growth strategy rather than scaring them about everything that can go wrong in the future. So guys, your choice of words will affect your relationship with these clients, right? So this is what I use. Now let's assume you have a client. Let me give you a case study, right? So what advice would you give to a client who has a family business, right? So I'll give you a very important, I'll give you a simple case study. There's a client of mine, he's a very successful doctor, but his family is also in the hardware business, right? So the family runs a hardware business. He is a professional doctor. What advice would you give to that kind of a professional business owner? That's the correct way to put it, right? He's a professional and has a potential inherited a family business. What advice would you give them? All right. Let me tell you the kind of advice that I would give them. I would tell them, how do you plan on running the family business? Now, most professionals usually tell me, Sanjay, the family business is run by professionals, right? So we've got family members involved, we've got CEOs, we've got CFOs, we've got other managers that manage the family business on a regular basis. So I tell them a simple thing. You focus on your profession, all right? You focus on what you do best. You're a good doctor. You continue focusing on being that medical practitioner that you are. Your family business, let's put an inheritance succession plan and a key person strategy in place. Who are the key people that continue running this business? What is your exit strategy in case you do want the option to exit from the family business, right? That's what you focus on, right? I want you all to remember one thing, guys. Some of these professionals don't intend on continue running the family business. So they need to know what are the exit options that are available to them. So help them create what we call the exit strategy. They don't have to exit, but they should have an exit strategy in place. Will they get acquired? Will someone buy their business? Will they shut the business down? Will one of their children join into the business? What is the strategy that they have for succession, inheritance, management? What is the plan that they have? And learn to become a good advisor to them in that case study. The third type of client that I love working with is clients who have inherited a profession from the family. For example, if you're probably born in a doctor's house, you'll probably become a doctor. If you're born in a chartered accountant's house, you'll probably become a chartered accountant. If you're born in an engineering house, you'll probably become an engineer, right? So if you've inherited a profession and you become successful in that profession, what's your retirement strategy? I mean, how long do you plan to continue working with a particular company? Do you want to set up your own business? Do you want to set up, what's your alternative source of income? Because you have one source of income, which is your business, your profession. So you're the CEO of a company, you're an engineer, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, whatever professional you are, you have a source of income. What's your alternative source of income, right? So are you buying properties? Do you have rental income? Do you have fixed deposit? Do you have interest? There are 6 sources of income that you can have. You can have rental income from properties, you can have interest from fixed deposits, dividends from equities, coupons from a bond portfolio, social security from a government, and number 6 is income from an annuity or endowment structure, right? Or what we call insurance planning. So these are the 6 sources of income. How many of these sources of income do you have? Do you want guaranteed income? Do you want variable income? Do you like market returns? Do you not like market returns? Do you like risk? Do you not like risk? What's your strategy, right? Have that conversation. Have a very general, fun conversation with these kind of clients. Because if you don't have fun conversations, you will lose out on the opportunity that every single advisor is already having those boring conversations with them. Learn to have a fun conversation, right? Now, coming to the last category of wealthy clients, second, third generation in the family business, right? We call it the third generation syndrome. I always ask this question. The first generation starts the business, the second one manages it, the third one destroys it. This is a very common saying. What I have realized is the third generation actually doesn't destroy it, they divide it. And when they divide it, they lose value, right? So the first generation starts it, the second one manages it, and the third one doesn't destroy it, they divide it. When they divide it, boom, it gets affected. So what's your succession strategy? Because after a certain number of generations, you have to learn to corporatize your business. You have to learn to put a corporate structure in place, where certain children will have corporate rules, certain children will just be shareholders, right? How will your beneficiaries be treated? Do you equalize the assets from one generation to the other generation? I'll give you a simple case study. This is probably one of my favorite case studies because it always works as a conversation. So grandfather started the business. He's got 2 sons, all right, A and B. Now the first son, A, has got 2 kids and B has 1 kid, all right? So grandfather started the business. He's got 2 sons, A and B. So A and B both get how much? 50-50. Now A has 2 kids. So how much will they get? 25-25. B has 1 kid. How much will that kid get? 50%. Do you think the kids will be happy? Legally, everyone is going to get what they deserve to get legally, but emotionally, they will not be happy. And this is a problem that we call equalization of estate for every generation. All the three children have been told you are equal. But when they come into the business, they've been told one will get 50% and the other two will get 25-25. So what happens? They will divide the business. Now, the funny thing is, the grandfather is still alive. All right? The grandfather is still alive. A and B have not inherited anything. And their kids have also not inherited anything, but they are already unhappy. They are unhappy even before the inheritance. So how do you make everyone happy? We call it equalization of wealth in every generation. Every generation wants to feel equal. That's a new problem. So I want all of you all to think about this. How would you make the third generation feel equal? Think about it. Because everyone wants more than what they're getting. And this became one of my favorite case studies. It's a real life case. I'm working on this family. They're based out of Southeast Asia. And what I gave them as advice was, I'll give you the numbers. So let's say the business is worth $10 million. Both the brothers are worth $5 million each. Now, one child wants $5 million. The other two children will get 2.5 and 2.5. So they get upset. Right? So what I did was I just added $5 million of life insurance. So the net worth in the second generation became 15 million, and every child gets $5 million as an inheritance. So it makes everyone happy. It's called equalization of wealth. So we used insurance as a way to equalize because everyone wants 5 million, but we only have 10. So how do I create 5 more? We just life insurance, because this problem will only start when one of the two brothers will die. There's no problem before that. The problem will only start when one of the two brothers die, right? So that became a very interesting case study. So these are your 4 categories of rich people in the market. So I've given you exactly what their triggers are, what affects them, what are the type of presentations you can have with them, what are the type of conversations you can have with them. These conversations is what makes you special and what makes I want you to understand that there are 5 rules when you're working with high net worth clients. So write these 5 rules down. Number 1, learn to become a familiar face where wealthy people sit, right? All of you know exactly where the rich people in your country are sitting. Why don't you become a familiar face in that area? So learn to become a familiar face in all the places where wealthy people sit. They like to see people and they like to talk to people who are familiar faces for them. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You have to just spend time to find out where they are. They could be in trade shows, right? A lot of people don't realize this, but you have a lot of trade shows in your country. How many of you visit these trade shows? Trade shows on green energy, cybersecurity, genetics and medical sciences, health sciences. There are so many trade shows that happen in your country. How many of you spend time to visit some of these trade shows? They're great places for prospecting. They're great places for having conversations with people you don't know. And a lot of them could be high net worth clients or representing high net worth clients, right? You have to also understand this, which is another very important rule. High net worth clients love networking. Now, all of you have a network. When was the last time you introduced a high net worth client to another high net worth client? You already have high net worth clients. Why don't you introduce them to other people? High net worth clients love meeting other high net worth people. Introduce them. Spend time to learn to introduce your network inside your network. Every single one of you has networks, but you don't introduce clients inside your network. If you don't recommend your clients, how do you expect your clients to recommend you? Rule number 2, right? Keep this in mind. Rule number 3. High net worth clients like solutions that are customized. If you don't customize a solution for your clients, and that's one of the reasons why I use paper and pen. I don't like to use PowerPoint. I love using paper and pen because when you use a paper and pen, it looks like this solution is only made for you, nobody else. Learn to customize solutions for your clients because every solution has to be customized. High net worth clients like something that is personalized to them. Number 4, consistent follow-up. Consistent follow-up doesn't mean you call them every day. No. You need to remind them that you're always available for them. It's called consistent follow-up. You should be available to your clients. And that's one of the things that a lot of financial advisors don't realize. You need to have a good secretary. You need to have a good support system in place. You need an assistant that would help you with your consistent follow-ups. Reminding your clients, if there's any question, she's always available for you. Your job is sales. Your job is not only follow-ups. Guys, please understand something. You don't earn money from servicing. You earn money from sales. So I want you to learn to focus on sales and have an assistant that can help coordinate your servicing, your follow-up, all of that. No good doctor works in isolation. They will always have a good nurse with them. make sure you have a good nurse with you. You are a financial doctor. Every single one of you, your specialty is giving good advice. Your job is not to be able to sit and follow up and give service. That's your secretary's job. Your secretary can help you with the paperwork. You don't have to do everything yourself. So learn to delegate the ability to be able to stay in touch with your clients, because some of us don't have the time to sit and call every single one all the time. For every 200 clients you have, you need a secretary. That's the standard that I use. For every 200 clients, I have one assistant. That's the standard that I use, right? So I want all of you all to realize that you need to have a standard. Rule number 5, you never decide what is big for a client. Never make that mistake. That is your client's choice. What is big, what is small is your client's choice. You are not someone who needs to make that decision. If you follow these 5 rules, you will be very good with your prospecting, you'll be very good with your conversation, and you'll be very good in the high net worth space. So there are 5 challenges that you will face when you're working with high net worth clients. Number 1, establishing trust and credibility. In our business, the biggest problem that we face is establishing enough trust, enough credibility. Because our clients don't really know who is good and who is bad. How do I know you're a good advisor? Think about it. The only way for me to know that you're a good advisor or not is for me to either die or fall sick. Think about it. The only true credibility that you can ever build is when you pay a claim. How many clients are looking forward to claiming from you? So how do you establish credibility and trust without paying a claim? Number 2, high net worth clients appreciate privacy and confidentiality. You have to learn to appreciate their privacy and confidentiality. Please do not discuss their cases with other clients. Be very careful of how you share case studies. Please remember, high net worth clients don't like people disclosing about them. Keep that in mind. That's the second rule. The regulation in your country. You make sure that everything that you do is compliant, is proper, and it's up to the standard of the regulation in your country. There's one thing that one of my mentors taught me when I joined in this business many, many years ago. He said, Sanjay, make sure your client file is so good that if tomorrow the regulator walks into your office, takes your client file, and walks out, you can sleep well. Your client files, your paperwork has to be so good that regulators are not given the opportunity to stop your business. So make sure you have the right paperwork. Please make sure you document your advice. Make sure you document your strategy. Make sure your clients understand what you're doing. Write as many notes as you can. Learn to document everything down. Emails, notes. Write them down. Guys, paperwork is your best friend. Don't cut corners. Paperwork is your best friend. Learn to document everything down because it will protect you. You just need one mistake to end your career. So keep that in mind. Regulatory framework, regulatory compliance is very, very important, especially when you're working with high net worth clients, because their strategy is usually more complicated than the average advisor or the average client in the market. Number 4, you need to understand that high net worth clients are not working in isolation. There's a lot of family dynamics that would play a role in decisions that they make, right? High net worth clients usually have multiple decision makers around them. They would have family members that would affect the decision. They could have other advisors like legal advisors, tax advisors, bankers, accountants that could affect their decision. You need to learn to navigate all those factors. They would have a lot of family politics. Learn to navigate family politics. You will get involved. Guys, every single one of you is going to become a personal advisor to high net worth clients. Their family politics will affect you, right? You need to learn to navigate those businesses. You need to learn to navigate that politics. Don't get scared of it, just learn to navigate it. So very, very important, right? In the high net worth space, you have to learn to upsell and get recommendations. Now, how do you upsell? There are 7 elements that every single high net worth client needs to do when it comes to estate planning. So one of the biggest mistakes that we do in estate planning is we try to focus on the legal aspects of estate planning or the tax aspects of estate planning. Guys, please understand something. Setting up a trust, writing a will, costs a few $1,000s. It's not a very expensive process. If you're a high net worth client, a few $1,000s or even tens of thousands of dollars is not a big expense for them. There are many tax consultants out there which don't charge a lot of money. I mean, some of the biggest tax consultants will probably charge you what? $25,000 to $50,000. assets. That's it. So it's not a very expensive affair. But there are 5 more elements to estate planning that take up a lot more money than the legal and the tax aspect. So legal aspect like writing a will, setting up a trust, or doing tax planning, like giving tax advice, etc., is a very small portion of estate planning. There are 5 more elements, a total 7, 5 more elements where you play an important role. Inheritance. When you're talking about inheritance, you're talking about what do your kids inherit? Liquidity problems. You're talking about what are the things that would affect the clients by themselves. Do your children inherit what they like? How will you manage that? Number 4 is charity. Charitable planning is a multi-billion-dollar business. A lot of families want to do charitable work, but they don't know how to do it. They don't have the right advisors guiding them on how to do charitable planning. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. If you build the right charitable planning structure, your family name can be remembered forever. If you build the right charitable planning structure, your family can be remembered forever. And a lot of people don't realize this. Charitable planning is a very, very important aspect to estate planning. Number 5, retirement planning. Your retirement plan cannot be inside your estate plan. If you truly want to enjoy your retirement plan has to be outside your estate plan. Whatever is your estate plan, if you start removing money from that for your retirement, your kids, your beneficiaries will get upset because it's money that you're consuming from their inheritance. Think about this. I know some of you are saying, but wait, isn't all that money my money? Yes, it is. But if you are spending the way you like, you're taking away from future inheritance. And your beneficiaries might get upset. The perfect strategy is your retirement plan has to be outside your estate plan. And I'll give you a real case study on this. My own father, right? I was sitting with him one day and he said, son, everything that I have is yours. Everything that I have is yours. And if you still need more, come back to me. And I said, I didn't understand that. If everything that you have is mine, and I still need more, how will you give it to me? He said, son, what you don't realize is every month I get a pension. If you still need money, don't worry. Back to me. Can you imagine having the power to say that to your children? That everything that I have is yours, and if you still need more, don't worry, come back to me. That is the power planning. Being able to say that to your future generations, to your future inheritance, to your beneficiaries in the future, that is yours, and if you still need more, don't worry, come back to me. That is the power of good estate planning. Guys, we lose out on retirement planning because we don't do it correctly. I tell my clients, a retirement plan is not for you to retire. A retirement plan is to give you the power to say these words. The power to say this to your children, that even after you've taken everything from me, I still have more to give. That is true retirement planning. Number 6, income planning. Every estate is asset rich, liquid poor. Every estate is asset rich, liquid poor. And the reason why they're liquid poor is because they haven't planned their income strategy in the estate. They acquire assets that don't generate an income. So you need to spend time in estate planning talking about the different ways of building the right income strategy. So guys, remember, this is another conversation that we don't have. Number 7, and this is probably the last one that's most important when it comes to estate planning, that is asset transfer. Which asset goes to which child? Think about it. If you have a son and a daughter, do you split the assets equally between the two of them? If yes, great. But which asset goes to the son? Which asset goes to the daughter? If you have a business, does the business go to the daughter? Does the business go to the son? If you have a property, does the property go to the daughter? Does the property go to the son? If you have jewelry, does the jewelry go to the son? Does the jewelry go to the daughter? Do you split it 50-50? What's the plan? When you're thinking about asset transfer, you have to decide how those assets are transferred. Who has control on those assets? Who has got control on managing those assets? Who makes a decision on all those assets? Do all the beneficiaries get involved? Do some beneficiaries get involved? What's your strategy for asset transfer? So guys, do you realize estate planning is not just about writing a will? It's not just about setting up a trust. It's not just about tax planning. That's the easy part. That's the cheap part of estate planning. The difficult part of estate planning is planning the right inheritance, the right charity strategy, the right retirement strategy, the right income strategy, and the right asset transfer strategy. That is our job. That's what I specialize in. That's what you need to learn to specialize in. So think about that, right? And I've also already mentioned, if you truly want to become successful in the high net worth space, you need to learn to ask for introductions and to ask for recommendations. Guys, that doesn't bring me to the end of the session because I did realize there are a lot of questions that a lot of you have asked. So I'm going to ask Harris to come on and ask me those questions so that we can have that conversation.
Yes, so you need to allow me to turn on my video.
Oops. There we go.
All right, wonderful. Okay, yes, so if you have more questions, just put them into the chat. So we have gathered a few, and some of these are really good actually, so I quite like this. So let's start pretty simple. So let's start with Ethel. So Ethel asks, how do you share to your initial base of clients to start recommending you to the people they care about, to their family and to their friends, especially in your early years in your career?
Okay, so one of the most important things when it comes to recommendations, right, is understanding not to get recommended just to the near and dear ones, but getting recommended to people that you like. So there are 2 steps in recommendation. Number 1 is understanding who you like to work with. So let's say, for example, Harris is a client of mine, and I want to get introduced into his network or recommended inside his network. I would tell Harris, I'd be like, Harris, you've been a client of mine for a while. How come you've never recommended me to anyone? And I think the reason why you never recommended me to anyone is because you have a lot of friends, right? You see, why don't I tell you who I like to work with? I like to work with doctors who are around the age of 40, 45, 50. Do you know any doctor like that?
Unfortunately not.
Unfortunately not. So see, the answer could be yes or no. By the way, Harris, I also like to work with teachers and lawyers. Do you know anyone like that?
Yeah, I know some teachers.
All right, so you know some teachers. There you go. See, I gave a second option. By the way, if Harris would have said even no to this one, I would have told Harris, I thought you have a lot of friends. Who do you know? Because if they don't know the 2 types of clients that you like working with, that's why I made you write 3 profiles. So you can ask about the top 2 profile of clients for recommendation. The next thing is, Harris, can you introduce me to that teacher? Because I would love to meet teachers. By the way, don't be introduced as a financial advisor. Be introduced for your personality. Be introduced as a friend. If the teacher likes you, if you like the teacher, then you can convert that into a business conversation. But if you don't even like the person, why do you want to convert it into a business conversation? Right? So I would tell Harris, would you mind introducing me to this teacher as a friend of yours? Because I don't want to be introduced for my business. I want to be introduced as a person. If I like them, I love to work with them. But if I don't like them, I don't want the pressure to work with them. So guys, your introduction has to be for your personality, not for your business or not for the work you do. And that's the recommendation process. I've actually documented this down in the Sales Maximizer playbook.
Yeah.
So I think there's also a YouTube video that I've done on recommendations. So guys, you can watch that YouTube video and you'll get an idea on how to get those recommendations.
Okay. Lovely. All right. So now another question. So Dr. Sanjay, you talk about retiring in 5 years. How do you plan for your clients to retire in the next 5 years?
All right. So let's say, Harris, you're my client who wants to retire in the next 5 years. Right? This is what I would say. Harris, would you like to retire in the next 5 years?
Yes, of course.
Harris, there's only one way to do that. How much are you willing to sacrifice today so that you can retire in the next 5 years?
I don't know. I mean, I'll do a lot.
It's your retirement, right? Now, I want to make sure that whatever you sacrifice, I start giving you an income from it. In the next 5 years, so you can start doing more activities on a regular basis. So we're going to take a retirement 5 years at a time, right? Every 5 years, I will give you some more income to be able to retire a little bit more. So I'll allow you probably 1 week extra, 2 weeks extra, 3 weeks extra. Weeks. So start planning now, because otherwise in the next 5 years, you will never start retiring. So in the next 5 years, I don't want you to retire 100%, but I want you to start retiring. And that's the most important thing. You're starting the journey to retire. Right? So I use a lot of annuities. I use a lot of endowment products. I use a lot of insurance products, which have guaranteed income. I love guarantees, guys, because I truly believe in the future guarantees will disappear. So I love annuities. I love endowments. I love anything that gives income on a regular basis. I like consistent income more than high income, right? Because consistency is more important than variable income, and that's my true belief. So that's how I do retirement planning.
Okay, lovely. All right, an interesting question, a pretty fun one actually. Is going golfing a good way to engage with high net worth people?
I personally believe it used to be. So if you went back about 25 years, I kind of agreed with that thought process that if you went golfing, you get to meet a lot of high net worth clients. I think now most of the people who are golfing are bankers. So unless bankers are your, what we call, clientele that you want to work with, go to the golf course. Right? I think it's changed a little bit. So a lot of high net worth clients don't golf anymore. And even if they do, they go to a very private golf club or a very high-end golf club, which we might not have access to. But personally, I've seen a lot lesser golfers in the high net worth space going forward. But hey, pick on any sport. You'll find high net worth playing tennis. You'll find high net worth guys playing badminton. You'll find high net worth guys playing squash. You'll find them playing football. I don't think golf is the only high net worth sport anymore. Right? They go cycling. I know a lot of high net worth clients who've gone cycling, hiking. Pick on any sport. You will find high net worth clients in almost every sport today.
Okay, lovely. All right. Now, somebody's asking, a client doesn't want to plan anymore, as they already said that they are already leaving so much behind for their kids. So how do we convince them to do even more?
Well, I don't tell them to do anything more. I actually tell them all the money that you want to leave for your kids, put that into an insurance policy so that nobody else can touch that money except your kids. Because let's say in the future you're ever sued or you have any creditors or people are trying to take over your assets, any money that's in an insurance policy is for the beneficiaries and therefore no one else can touch it. So whatever you've done for your kids, crystallize and consolidate that into an insurance policy. It's protected for your kids. That's all. If you have the money, keep it with me. If you don't have the money, I'll create it for you. In both scenarios, you need me. If you have the money, keep it with me. If you don't have the money, I'll create it for you right now. Don't worry. So in both scenarios, insurance works. That's why I handle that objection.
Okay, perfect. All right. Now, how do we create urgency for clients to do financial reviews?
Financial reviews?
Yes, that was the question.
I'll be very honest with you. I only ask them a simple question. Has anything changed in the last 1 year for you? And they tell me, no, nothing's changed. And I tell them, you don't need to do a review. I mean, think about it, guys. If nothing has changed, there's nothing to review. If something has changed, there's something to review. If their income hasn't changed, their job hasn't changed, their family status hasn't changed. If nothing has changed, what review will you do? you only need to do a review when something changes. If your job changes, you need to do a review. If you have a new member in the family, you got married, you have a new child, you need to do a review. If you have changed your address, you moved from one house to another house, you've probably taken on more liabilities, you need to do a review. So you only need to do a review when something changes in your life. If everything's the same, well, nothing's changed, nothing to review. So guys, urgency of review is purely based on life changes, right? If they have any changes, they need to do a review, but if nothing's changed. And this is what I tell my clients. If nothing's changed in your life, there's nothing to review. So guys, keep it simple. It's like my doctor, right? Every year I go for a regular checkup. My doctor sees my report, he says, nothing's changed, see you next year. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's good. All right, now question I've actually asked you before. It's quite interesting. Do you ever go back to speak to people who initially rejected you?
I love going back to them to see if they've changed their mind about insurance. So I just love going back, not because, so when they rejected me, they're not rejecting me, they rejected my product. I want all of you to realize one thing. No client is rejecting you. They're rejecting your product, they're rejecting your strategy. If you have a new strategy, you have a new product, you have a new fundamental, right? You can go back to those clients and say, you remember 10 years ago, you never thought about buying insurance because the product was like this, product was like that. Well, now we have a new product that allows you to do X, Y, Z. There's no harm in going back to them. Guys, there's no harm in going back to anybody. Worst case scenario, they'll reject you again. Move on.
And you already know how that sounds like.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. So Marian asks, how about talking to people who are in the second generation of a family business, but the business is still under the supervision of, let's say, their father, for example, right? So they are, in the business, but they don't run it yet. What's the advice for them?
So I always ask them, they will inherit the business one day. So I always sit down with the first generation and ask them that while you are there, everything is under control. What's your strategy for the next generation? So is the next generation allowed to expand the business? Is the next generation allowed to sell assets? Are they allowed to manage the assets? What is their responsibility, right? So we talk about inheritance, and that's why when we're doing estate planning, we talk about inheritance, asset transfer, income strategy. What are all these strategies that you have for your business? And I always ask the first generation, what's their thoughts? Because they already have a philosophy in their head about what they want their kids to do with the business. The question is, have they communicated that to the second generation?
What if your client is the second generation? So you're not talking to the
So you tell them to introduce you to the father, right? At the end of the day, financial planning is not done for an individual. Financial planning is done for a family. If your family's financial planning is weak, you can do the best financial planning for an individual, but it will fall apart. Because we all are interdependent on each other. It's like this, right? Harris, let's say you have a brother or a sister, right? If your sister needs money, your brother needs money, wouldn't you give it to them? You would. Wouldn't that affect your financial plan? It would. So a family is only as strong as the family's financial plan. So guys, remember one thing, your responsibility to your client is not limited to your client. It's limited to their family or anything that is interdependent on them in terms of finances. Your brother, your siblings, your auntie, your uncle, your grandparents could be affecting your financial plan. So I can do the best financial plan for you, but if your parents, your grandparents, your siblings, your cousins can affect you financially, it will affect your financial plan. So why don't you introduce me to them and let me work on your whole family's financial plan? A lot of people don't realize this, but high net worth families are interdependent on each other.
Okay, perfect. All right. Now, what is a good conversation opener if you're approaching the first generation business owner and you have no connection with it? So it's a cold approach.
So I'm not very good with cold approaches, but if I had to choose one, I would start the conversation with, I hope you don't have an emergency fund.
Okay.
I would actually start with that conversation. I would actually say, I hope you don't have an emergency fund, because every single first generation business owner that I know doesn't need an emergency fund. They started with the ability to take risk, and they still have the ability to take risk. They don't need an emergency fund. What they do need is a fantastic growth fund. Every time they have a business opportunity, they need money to grow. Any other emergency, they can handle it themselves, and that's a fact. First generation business owners don't need an emergency fund. They handled risk better than anyone before that, and they can handle it again. Every first generation will tell you, even today, they could have gone up and down 3 times, and they will still tell you, it's okay, I can do it again. I can do it again. So if you tell them, set an emergency fund, they will actually laugh at you. So I actually tell them, I hope you don't have an emergency fund. I would start the other way around. I'd use something called reverse psychology.
Flip the script.
Flip the script, exactly. I would flip the script.
Okay, very good. All right. I think this is last question. It's already about 10:30 right now, right? So what is your most successful presentation to use when you're talking to high net worth?
Wow. I don't have one successful presentation. I have quite a few. My favorite presentation is the flow of water. The flow of water, I think, is probably the simplest presentation to summarize estate planning for high net worth clients. Mr. Client, you are a lake. The lake is converted into a river. That river goes and joins the ocean of wealth. Now you are the lake with a river of income. That river of income is creating your ocean of wealth. This ocean of wealth becomes the lake for the next generation, which again will have a river of income, which again then becomes an ocean of wealth for the next generation. And this process continues again and again and again. Now, if the next generation doesn't inherit anything, what happens? Nothing. The process restarts. The only question is, do you want your every generation to restart, or do you want them to have a head start? The choice is yours, right? Do you want your every generation to restart, or do you want them to have a head start? Can you imagine if every generation in the past said every generation should restart? Then we would all still be living in the caves,
yeah.
Right? We actually pass on something. Every generation receives something. We want our next generation to always have a head start, right? Now, your river of income, you have 2 options. Either that river of income can be guaranteed or variable. Which one would you prefer? If they say guaranteed, tell them, well, guaranteed is good, but variable is equally important. So you need to learn to have a mix of both variable and guaranteed, right? Because the variable helps you achieve more water flow when the season is good. The guaranteed makes sure there's always some water flowing even when the season is bad, right? So it's about having the right mix of guaranteed and variable. And that's what I love about the flow of water presentation. You can talk about assets, you can talk about income, you can talk about inheritance, you can talk about charity, you can talk about asset transfer, you can talk about anything in the estate planning structure using this one presentation. So it's probably one of my favorite presentations, but it's not my only presentation. But that is one of my favorite presentations, yes.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so we come to the end of Q&A.
Thank you, guys. It's an absolute pleasure.
Yeah. So Dr. Sanjay, for high net worth prospecting, thank you for conducting this. Any last few words before we end?
If I want to leave you all with one last piece of advice, I want you to leave with the ability to talk about big numbers. The biggest mistake that we do as financial advisors is we don't open up big cases. If you don't open up big cases, you will never close big cases. You have to learn to open big cases. And if you want to work with high net worth clients, you need to start thinking big. So step number one is work on your mindset. The mindset, the ability to think big. The second most important thing is build on your skills. The skill set to be able to talk, have conversations, your confidence, your presentations, your practice, understanding who your target market is. Don't try to sell everything to everyone. Learn to become a specialist. These are some of the key takeaways that I want all of you all from this presentation. Guys, this video is going to be available probably for another 24 hours. Harris, if I'm not right, wrong?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So guys, rewatch this video. Learn to look at my choice of words. Listen to the conversations that I've had. Look at the role plays. Look at the case studies that we've had. That will help you become a better advisor. So keep one thing in mind, guys. The only thing that's stopping you from becoming successful in this business is your personal ability to adapt. So learn to adapt to all these changing circumstances. Learn to adapt to what your clients are looking for. Learn to adapt to the conversation styles that you need to have in the 21st century. And learn to adapt to a market that's becoming more structured, more scientific, and more specialized. So best of luck, and I look forward to seeing all of you at the top.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Sanjay. Also, thank you to our three other speakers, Sean, Connie, and Tia. Also, for everybody else, look out for our next event. And also, we have an announcement. I think you have seen about Big Case Closer. Even our three speakers today were from the Big Case Closer group. We are actually reopening the waitlist for quarter 2. So now we'll be entering quarter 2. It's in April. We'll be accepting new members into the BCC mentorship. So if you want to learn more about your specializations, you want to learn more about closing bigger cases, you want to network with other top advisors that have been doing things really good for themselves in their own country, so you can learn from, and of course, then apply in your particular practice. Of course, you should go check out Big Case Closer. You can go to bigcasecloser.com. Dr. Sanjay actually interviews every new application. I want to make sure that you are a good fit, that this is for you, that you'll be able to apply everything you learn in BCC. All right, so go to bigcasecloser.com. Of course, slots are limited. Priority will be given to today's attendees. So we encourage you to apply early, and we hope to get you on board. Only if, of course, if this fits for you. So the waitlist is open. Go to bigcasecloser.com and actually get that chance to speak to Dr. Sanjay and understand if this is a right fit. All right. So again, thank you, Dr. Sanjay. Thank you, our speakers today. Thank you, everybody, for joining in from all over the world. Of course, regionally and also from I think the other side of the world as well. We'll be doing more events this year, and we hope to see you soon in the future as well. So thank you, and good night.
This year, with BCC guidance, I achieved my OER in 2 months and my CO in 5 months. Hi, this is Nancy. I just started with the Big Case Closer program since the beginning of this year after listening to Dr. Sanjay's speech and watching all his video videos through all channels. He spent his precious time train and guide, and most importantly, answer to all the doubt any member had, including role-play leaders. With Sanjay's big group of members we have in this group, and for a Bruneian like me, it's really give me a platform where I'm able to learn and get exposure to what others have come across. This program has helped me a lot since we've better idea to handle challenges with confidence, especially with my high network cases. We even have a special study group chat among the members to share their thoughts and ideas if we miss out any session or any case study. I am a leader and also a personal producer. I'm a member of MERT with 1 MERT, 11 COT, and 2 TOT. This year, with BCC guidance, I achieved my MERT in 2 months and my COT in 5 months. I use more constructive and effective strategy to handle my personal selves and have more time spent with my team to help them win. I have 2 of my team members with me in this program, and they achieved MERT in 5 months too. If you feel you are stagnant in your production or mindset and wanting to make a difference in your career, you should consider joining us.
What are you doing? Oh, man. It's a beautiful day out.